And we're live again, Carol and Claire, to talk a little bit more about what's on Carol's mind. What's on your mind?
Oh, I didn't have anything in particular on my mind. You sent me a link that's asking something about the Brotherhood of Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and yeah, I was
That's a
thought,
great idea, I think,
yeah,
about forming an alliance with them.
yeah,
Or
it's
anyone who believes that we need to bring up the next generation in stable families of married parents.
yeah.
I don't think it's confined just to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. It's pretty much universal, I think.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, right. Muslims have this idea, the Brotherhood of Muslims, and then it has the idea of the Brotherhood of the people of the book. And then after that, there's the Brotherhood of Humanity, right? So Medina, the story of Medina is this attempt to create that brotherhood and alliance as of the people of the books, brotherhood and alliance. And that's where that story came from, where somebody was asking about the. I guess somebody made a comment like, "Where is this in the Quran and stuff?" There are Bible thumpers and there's Quran thumpers, and I'm neither. I'm just a housewife. And the only reason I'm talking about this stuff is it doesn't seem like any of the men wanna bother with it. So, I
Well,
mean, y
I suppose that is the thing. They don't want to have to acknowledge that for their race to continue, they have to somehow produce a next generation and somehow parent them properly.
yeah.
And there's a lot of background noise for I don't know what's causing it. Um,
Oh, on your side? I don't hear any background noise on my side.
I mean, I hear background noise on your side.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm listening to this recording, I'm not hearing anything. It's, like, really silent and nice. I don't know what's the problem.
It may be breathing. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, maybe this is too close to my face. Oh, no, let's see, where can I hold this thing then? Okay, let's try it like this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, maybe it is my breathing. I don't know.
It
Okay.
sometimes, well, sometimes I can hear myself breathe. Um,
Mhm.
but 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 um, but you do anyway. I just thought I'd mention it because it sometimes sounds like it's windy out there, and then you can hear the
Oh, that's probably my breathing, sure.
uh-huh,
Yeah,
uh,
okay.
um, okay. My position is that this is winnable because let us assume that any society worth saving would have more men and women who are prepared to agree that the best way for their society to survive, irrespective of their race or nation, is to produce a next generation within wedlock and parent them properly. It's not such a big deal to agree with. It's not like, ooh, you have to believe that Jesus is God or, God made everything. It's not even that. It's
Yeah.
just this little idea that marriage has a eugenic purpose, and if we don't practice marriage and randomly have sex and neglect and abandon our children, they're going to grow up crazy and stupid and evil and criminal.
Well, there's a chance of that even if you have a really nice family. I mean,
Hmm. But
you
convicted
know.
prisoners mostly come from fatherless homes.
I think a lot of men need their I think a lot of people need fathers and so do the daughters. That they people need fathers, even a father who's not perfect, a father that's just there, you know?
Yes, because they need to have some idea of how men and women living together relate to each other. And even if they know that mum and dad quarreled, if mum and dad stay together and are occasionally nice to each other after their quarrel, they might, grow up thinking, well, this is what happens. People get mad at each other when they're forced to live with each other to do this thing about rearing the next generation. And maybe, it's all right to fight with your spouse. It doesn't mean the end of the world. You don't have to leave them just because, sometimes you get bored and irritated by them.
Well, that and even even the families are getting so small. If you have two parents and they have three or four or five kids, those children learn how to negotiate arguments because you're living in a little bubble where you have
Mm.
to. But if you only have one child, which is what a lot of people do, is we're going to have one and then that's it. You have a
They'll be,
child who doesn't know how to relate. Hello?
yes, yes. I was just agreeing with you that they become stupid because, they have two parents to play off against each other. They expect to get everything, and they usually do, and they're less socialized than children with siblings. You're absolutely right about that.
Hmm.
But they're just less socialized, and I remember my extended family, and the people used to say things like, their family, so you have to put up with their eccentricities because they're family. It's that sort of idea. but
Right,
but
right.
teen gangs are very intolerant, aren't they? They're mean to each other over the silliest reasons because they don't wear the right designer clothes or whatever, and they're very, very unkind, very intolerant.
Well, they're creating a
Teen
fake
gangs.
family. They're creating a fake family, and I mean, that's what that's all about. Is it's going to be a fake family, and then they have to stay in it at all costs, right?
Or they'll just get attacked because I guess you join a gang because you don't want, to be picked on by some other gang. So you join a gang of your own who might protect you.
Well, you want some type of community, and they want a vision. And so, what's the vision for a man if there's no man in the house, right? So they get kind of caught up in this. A cartoon version of what a man is. So they're going to go out and all of a sudden be men because they know they're not functioning right or they're not being productive in society. So they're going to
They think
join
a
a
man is violent. I
yeah.
think,
They think that
some
makes them a
action
man.
hero with a gun.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And so, if you don't have a father in the home that's doing the things a man's really supposed to do, they don't see that. And you can't have a father floating, you can't have one father come in and he's gone and we're going to have another one, another fake one come in and he's going to go, and it just turns into a cycle like that. I remember when I was young, when a lot of women got divorced, because people got divorced, a lot of women got divorced too. That the children, in American law used to be that, well, it still is pretty much that the child would live with the mother, right? A lot of
Mhm.
women decided to not date men until their children were out of the house because they knew this was not going to be good for them, and that people would be calling them horrible names, have bringing men in and out of the house because society was against that, and they didn't want to lose their children for being an unfit parent. Now, Islam says that the man has to eventually take over the child
Yeah,
if
but
there's
when
a
the kid is
divorce.
7,
Hmm?
the kid in a divorce stays with mum until they're 7 and they go to dad.
Yeah,
That's the rule, isn't it?
there's some different rulings on it, but there's some extra ones, and a Muslim judge would look at this and like, well, where's the mother? I'm not the mother, but where's the female influence on this, supervising the child and this kind of thing. So a lot of times it would be a man who's married again, but a man who is married to a woman has more power over a woman than a woman does who marries a man and you know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's some wisdom in this, and if the children aren't living with the women, it was easier for them to get married again because
Yes, yes, of course.
most men don't really. I mean, they do in white culture a lot, but a lot of men don't really want someone else's children in the home.
No.
So is what it comes down to.
Well,
So
even women don't really want, their
yes,
husbands,
yes,
stepchildren around.
that's true. And I was talking to some sisters one day about this, and she said she thought, Americans were really kind on this because a lot of American women will try. They'll try to like the man's children's stuff. It may not work out or whatever, but they try. If they decide to marry somebody, they're going to try. They're going to really try to like them and hope everyone gets along. They're not going to try to find some way to get them kicked out of the house. Some of these other
Hmm.
cultures do that. They plan it. You know, it can be pretty ugly.
The Sound of Music. That was basically the plot, wasn't it? Do you remember the
What Sound of
plot to
Music?
Sound
The
of Music?
plot? Yeah, I remember that movie.
The
I thought,
Baroness plotted to send them to boarding school so she didn't have to put up with all those kids. But Julie Andrews really liked them.
yeah, I find the Sound of Music kind of a depressing movie, but yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the Baroness part so well, but yeah, the one that was kind of interested in him wanted to get rid of the children, and she and Julie Andrews ended up liking the children and the family and everything and all
Yeah,
that, and
because she was a
marrying him.
governess. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the governess and stuff. So but anyway, try thing that Trap family is kind of an interesting story, but this this all has to be turned around. And if 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 you're seeing these faith communities not saying anything about, okay, the government, people in government won't say anything because they're going to lose votes. Faith communities, a lot of them just are ignoring the problem. They just ignore it altogether
They think
because
it won't affect them until their kid, their daughter comes back pregnant.
well, a lot of the people in their congregations and stuff have illegitimate kids,
Mhm.
so they don't want to stigmatize the kids that are in there. So they think a more kinder, gentler approach is maybe the best
It-
view. And then the Muslims aren't saying anything about it really because they're still at the place where they don't think this is okay. I mean, I don't know one single Muslim that thinks it's okay to have a child if you're not married. I don't know
Yeah, but
one.
they aspire to send their children to university, and university will tell them it's okay to sleep around, and in fact, you're expected to, you know, you basically. um, I mean, I know a rabbi who says
Unknown caller. You know a rabbi that what?
who said, well, you've murdered your children's soul by sending them to university. Why did you? They're stupid anyway. They come out stupid, with all the stupid ideas that they indoctrinate them at university. And he even talks about university rabbis, with the utmost contempt.
No, yeah, I
And all the other assimilated liberal Jews hate him because he wins all the arguments and he's never been to university. He's just this ultra orthodox rabbi you know, um, whom they actually hate. He was basically treated as that's Rabbi Misraki, by the way, and he was actually treated as persona non grata, as if he were a white nationalist when he was supposed to be coming into Britain to give a lecture
mhm,
tour to his to the Orthodox communities in Britain.
mhm,
The chief rabbi basically conspired with an Asian senior immigrant senior officer in the Home Office and said, well, if he arrives, make sure you interrogate him for a few hours and ask him his views about the Palestinians and, make him feel unwelcome. And so he decided not to come. But he does, he does continue to say his things which triggers all the assimilated Jews. They hate him just as much as well. They hate him more. They hate him more because he still wins all the arguments, which their university education just can't get them. It doesn't win them any arguments because it's full of liberal nonsense that they can't defend.
mhm, mhm.
So
Well, the universities are women can get an education. There's nothing wrong with that. But the idea is buying, all this liberalism, and the universities are pushing that agenda. So you're going in. a school system, public school system, and it looks like a lot of the private schools are following suit, where they have this liberalism view. Then you go to college and they're pushing liberalism, and all these women are being talked, not talked, but they're being a social pressure to not start a family, or to not marry. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what's
it's worse
horrible.
for the middle classes because these women think, oh well, I'll meet somebody nice at university, or I'll meet somebody nice, in my nice career that I get after my university education.
Well, in my older sister's time, there was a lot of talk that going to university was to get your MRS degree, right?
What's that?
To get your MRS degree.
What's that?
The missus, to find a husband, a husband that could produce more, a better spouse. So women were attending university for their MRS degree, right? At one time, about the only thing you could major in as a woman was to be a nurse. Or I mean, there was, to be a nurse, or home economics, because the idea was that you would be having these dinner parties for the husband's business people, because it wasn't all this eating in a restaurant stuff. They were an extension of their husband, and they entertained in their homes, fixing these nice dinners and stuff. You
Hmm.
you can see it in that series they had on.
Bewitched.
No, there was a series out, Mad Men. If you watch
Oh
Mad
yes,
Men, okay, if you watch
yes, I
Mad Men,
watched a bit
it
of it.
shows, okay, and it shows I don't know what the blonde lady, talking about these international beers or something, and but she was talking about how you entertain and stuff, and it was showing some of this stuff that you kind of remember this stuff. It was kind of amusing watching that show, and then it shows the whole change into the end, with the Coca-Cola commercial. But it's showing like this whole change in society and kind of what happened,
Hmm.
like even to the point of like people used to go on picnics, they didn't clean up after themselves. They'd pick up the blanket and just shake it on the ground, leave their garbage. I remember when they had that Clean Up America campaign, they told everyone, quit throwing your garbage everywhere. Don't be a litter bug. And then
Hmm.
okay, so people kept throwing their garbage. So then they put big fines on if you're throwing any more garbage on the freeways and stuff, and we find you, you're going to be
Hmm.
paying. You're going to be paying.
Hmm.
And that's an example of a law that cleaned up the freeways. Now they're getting all messed up again, but they were quite clean for a while. They got
Hmm.
quite
Hmm.
clean for a while.
Hmm.
And yeah, I noticed in that thing, I looked real fast at the chat the other day. Somebody said it's rambling. Yeah, it was a rambling discussion. I'm just a housewife, and I talk to you, Claire, and I forget half the time we're on the air, because I find you really fun to talk to. And yeah, I wish there was somebody better than me to
No, I
discuss
think
these
you're
things.
perfect. I think you're perfect because you asked a logical question, about, well, you don't like secular Quranism. What have you got that's better? And you completely, exposed them. So their next move will be, Carol's mad. Or she doesn't exist, and we're
Oh,
not
I
going to
don't care.
platform her either,
I
because
don't
that will be their next move.
I don't
Because
show I don't show my face on the internet uh, because of all this doxing, and because I don't feel like being part of a cartoon noon, meme of some naked lady going all over the internet with all this cut and pasting with women's heads and stuff. This gross intimidation of women because the men are weak and want to intimidate women. And I so that's why I don't have my face on the internet, or I don't discuss exactly where I live or anything like that. It's not because I'm a chicken. I don't want these problems. I'm just avoiding
No, but
problems.
you don't have to. Your voice is enough
No.
because people know that you are quite well, American middle class, and nobody has any reason to think, oh, she's not really a wife, she's not really a mother, or she's not really American. I don't think people would think that. I mean, that they would say, oh, but she must be mad to even think of using secular Quranism. Oh, when she's a Muslim, and that means she must be mad,
Well,
and we can ignore her. I don't think they can do that anymore.
Okay, just as a hypothetical, right? I'm a Muslim. I live in the United States. I'm already living under a very I can't even, my tongue, it doesn't work right. Liberalism, uh, creation of a body of law right now. So why should I be against secular Coranism? It's a step up as far as I'm concerned. Okay, maybe it's not being under some kind of a idea of an Islamic state or something, but uh, I don't know if I even want to live under an Islamic state the way the immigrants are defining it and expressing it. So uh, why wouldn't Muslims like this idea? They're not thinking that. They're just thinking how they're going to affect the political system here,
Hmm.
but they're going the wrong way about it. What if they did just say, I'm only going to promote the laws and the causes that are being suggested, you know, that promote my view of how to live, my view of how what Muslims think are the values that should be expressed in society, instead of jumping on the bandwagon of these groups that are pretty much destroying the moral fabric of society in some kind of an attempt to be accepted and to be in the political process. It's a sellout attitude. You see what I'm saying? It's selling
Yes.
out. It's selling out. So there's no reason to sell out to try to affect some change in the political process. And why not? Why not all the Muslims say, okay, maybe this is never going to happen. Oh, ha, 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 Claire. This is never going to happen. The United States is never going to be a Islamic theocracy. Well, it won't be an Islamic theocracy if it's not one, and it's not one now, and probably most people probably aren't going to become Muslim for who knows how long. So it's highly doubtful that it would be actually voted in. But why are Muslims selling out? What
They
is
don't know what they're
happening?
doing, you know. I think we have to assume that most of them are not very educated.
Oh, there's some very educated Muslims in the Muslim community. You can be sure of that. But
Yes, but they won't say what needs to be said. They won't engage in a political process. They'll be too snooty to discuss secular Quranism, if only to mock and dismiss it. They will
they're
actually make a point of never discussing it with each other.
they're not seeing that this can be used as a way to get out of the status quo that they have boxed them into by making them approach it a little bit outside of the box. I think it's a great idea. The whole thing is a great idea, not just for just promoting some kind of discussion and stuff, but to actually evaluate how are people looking at this situation and trying to solve the problems in society itself. How much of a sellout are people going to be anymore? Okay, all these, and I keep talking about white people. Somebody said, I guess on the other one, that I seem like Madeline Albright. I mean, that's pretty funny. Anyway, there isn't a Muslim who believes in Islam, a traditional Muslim, that believes we're supposed to run around killing people based on skin color, right? If all
Mm.
these white nationals became Muslims, they would realize that this is the wrong approach. And then maybe the Muslim community would understand, this much immigration coming in all at once into this community is not a good idea. It's not a good idea to destroy the dominant culture in a country this fast. I mean, this is insane. It's not the same values that they're coming in, and they don't know how to look at the society and stuff in a way that's productive into building a great country. We want people in this country that want the country to go up, not be torn apart with some idea that we hate white people. Okay. We don't need another version of Black Lives Matter running around, right?
But white people are not rising to, well, white men are not rising to the challenge. You know, I've been doing this for
Ah, no,
years,
they're
and
not. And so
I don't know
why
if
would
you watched that. Did you watch this few minutes of me on the House of Comments?
no, I didn't
Um,
see that. No.
but basically, they really can't engage with the subject other than to say nobody likes it, we don't like it, we don't wanna, you can't make us.
Oh,
That's
that's
the
right.
usual.
Yeah. Yeah, we can yeah, they can't make them. They can't make them. What are they they're not suggesting anything. They're just not suggesting anything either. I mean, if I
Apart
was
from
a
homeschooling their children to overthrow the government
okay,
in 2
let's look at
generations'
it.
time.
Let's look at it this way. Okay, let's say I have a yard, right? I got a bunch of mess in the yard. So I'm telling my husband, go clean up that yard, right? And he wants to have 500 reasons why he wants to wait 2 generations to clean up the yard and some bunch of reasons. Okay, well, what about just go out there and start picking up the stuff and put it in a garbage can, right? Now they're going to interpret that. Why white nationals are going to say, yeah, this means let's shoot up all the brown people or let's do a bunch of stuff to them and this kind of stuff. Well, if I go in my backyard and my yard's a mess and I start just shooting all the birds in it, that's not going to clean it up either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a sick thinking. We don't need to go running around killing people because they're the wrong skin color, but we do need to stop this mess with immigration coming this fast into the Europe and into the Americas. And why not?
And Europe and Australasia, because it's the same problem all over the world, in all countries, practicing liberal democracy. So I guess I need to work on you to accept my one party idea because I think that's I think your area of resistance.
Well, my resist, yeah, that would be a big one. And if all the other communities would build themselves up back, that might be possible. A
But
one
but
party system, but I don't see any, at least in the United States, I don't see any possibility of a one party system working because everyone's so liberal. They're already so weak against government as it is. If it, a one party system would work pretty good if all these faith communities were maybe still intact and there's more conservative view and people had community, but it's all destroyed. Communities destroyed in the United States pretty much,
well, I
except
mean,
for this group of immigrants coming in that are now doing the wrong thing. Okay, so everybody, nobody wants to be a Muslim. Okay, don't be one. Don't be one, but try to turn this country into something good again. And do
but
you
they
want
only
white
want
people to
support.
choose? Do white
Yeah.
people going to choose this white nationalist garbage that I'm seeing? I'm not seeing that. I don't know a single Muslim that thinks it's okay to run around killing people because of the color, except you know some weird political ideology or something somebody came up
Well,
with,
all
like
kinds of people are being called white nationalists now, right? I mean, they're called, oh, no, it's white supremacist, which actually, the leading lights of white nationalism, they don't call themselves white supremacists,
Well, okay.
do
What
they?
it was, I still see no plan from that. You would think that the white people would have some kind of a plan. So not only do they not have a plan, no, none of the other people seem to have a plan except giving into this idea of this liberalism that's ruining the country. It's just ruining the country. I mean, 2 generations from now, nobody's even going to know what a nuclear family used to look like. Yeah, so we're going to rise up in 2 generations. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
just cornball stuff. And so people say, okay, I must be some kind of a racist because I'm talking to the white man. I'm talking to them specifically, telling them to shape up. I'm not talking to white people because I hate brown people. I'm talking to white people because they need to shape up. This is insane what they're doing, that they have destroyed a thought process that managed to conquer. I mean, it's stupid thinking.
They
Okay.
don't, you see, no, it can't be saved if most people don't want I mean, if they don't see the connection between, well, continuing your civilization, your nation, your society, with through producing legitimate children. And I'm getting the impression that it's like, oh, well, let's not bother. I think there's enough left of Western civilization to last us until we're dead. Because that's what the thinking is. It's like things are still okay. They're getting bad, but I think
There's
that it's still okay until I die, and then I don't care what happens.
okay, there's enough. Okay, so now there's enough of Western civilization to last two more generations of not producing any any children in it that are even being told it's a good thing because we're going to have a parallel society. It's not going to happen,
Did
Claire.
you see that video? Did you see that video of Blonde and what's her name,
I didn't
Laura?
watch the whole thing. I didn't watch the whole thing. I do kind of I didn't watch it. I'm going to watch it though because yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot to be said about having a network and stuff of things to kind of get off the grid. You know, I mean that some of that's pretty good, but this is I mean white supremacists and white nationalists can't possibly believe this plan that they're publicizing. I can only imagine that maybe they have something in the background, which is what we're not going to be man enough to try to affect a good change in society. We're just going to sit here and wait a couple generations doing nothing with this parallel society stuff, and that somehow these grandkids that have seen these men that are so passive that they can't even get married. Um, they're so
okay,
passive that they can't even get married. You know, that's not just a minute.
okay,
Uh, let me try to. I don't know how to turn this phone off. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at.
yeah. The thing is, everything is just gonna keep going away. It's like your jugular vein has been severed. You're just gonna just wait for two more generations rather than finding, I don't know, tourniquet or something. I don't know. You do
Yeah,
something
they need
immediately.
to. They need to come to Islam so they understand that their whole attitude is wrong. Okay, we're going to build a great Western society. Everybody doesn't have to be white DNA to create a great Western society, but they have to believe in it in some manner. You know what I'm saying? Now,
But
it doesn't need to be defined by a bunch of immigrants that are just now coming fresh across the border who basically want to tear it down because they don't even understand some of the attitudes and ideas that helped build what was a great thing in the past, right? So
yeah, it's an attitude of mind, a can-do attitude.
yeah, it's an attitude. A lot of this is an attitude. It's a way of looking at life. It's a lot of this stuff, and it was a, and a lot of it was, in the beginning of the country when it was started, it was basically saying, up yours to another government. We're going to have our own government over here. We're just going to do our own thing. And Muslims can do the same thing. Muslims don't have to follow the immigrant agenda and look at Islam as only through the immigrant's eyes. They can look at Islam through their own cultural lens of Western civilization. Like how would a Western person understand some of these concepts and have it manifest in society? You know what I'm saying? So people want to say I'm a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist, but I do believe in promoting the white man that was like what my father was.
But that was because your father and earlier generations, they had this idea. you know, they might not literally believe in Christianity, but they knew that the things that they must not do. And it's really as simple as that. It's not even some narrative about, Jesus being God or God creating the universe. It's about what you must not do.
Look, it used to be. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna put blunt here. It used to be white people in Europe and stuff, let's say they're married, right? Okay, maybe they're going to get a mistress on the side. So that it's almost like some form of polygamy. They have another wife somewhere and they're not telling their wife, right?
Hmm.
They're kind of an exclusive mistress relationship. Or they would go see hookers, right?
Hmm.
They would go see hookers. They would go rent hookers. Now, I'm not saying let's go visit hookers and let's go have affairs on the side. I'm not saying that. But that's what they used to do because they didn't have this idea that they're just going to throw their DNA all over society and produce these kids that nobody even knows who they're related to anymore. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? They thought somehow they want to preserve some set of DNA in some way and build a family and then have this family succeed in some way. It wasn't this ridiculous circus you're seeing now.
Yeah,
See what
the
I'm
thing is,
saying?
it's happened before. The story of the tragedy of Oedipus Rex. This guy who didn't know who his mum and dad were because you know, as in the older days, people did get married and they did have children, but it's like, oh, we have too many already. Let's expose, let's get rid of this one, and they leave the baby somewhere. It's brought up by some shepherd, which is usually the story, and then it grows up to be a fine young man, and it meets mum, and and kills dad. Something like that.
Mm.
And the tragedy of it is that if you don't know who you are, you're going to do something like that. You're going to kill your dad in a road rage accident, and you're going to marry your mum and have babies with her. Yes, that could happen.
Yeah.
That was the tragedy of Oedipus Rex.
Mm.
And so it is important for us to know who we are, at least who our parents are. And if we're adopted, we need to know that we're adopted. And so we don't meet our a brother or sister and have sex with them and produce children. It's just basic, isn't it?
Well, I saw an old talk show on TV years ago that had people on there that had got married and then found out later they were biological brother and sister, right? Because they had no idea who their real parents were. Okay,
So
so some of them dealt with it by being so grossed out they divorced, and some of them insisted on staying married, with the idea, well, we didn't know,
mhm,
because legally they're not brother and sister because
mhm.
they were adopted, or they were in totally different families and different names were on the birth certificate or whatever. But this is, I mean, what kind of a, is it that hard? Is it that hard to to have some thought in life choices, in some of these actions that are a real life choice? Is it that hard to put some thought into it? Or is it just everyone's been brainwashed so much that you got to have fun and you're expressing yourself through, sexual activity with, the whole neighborhood. And, that's you. I, wow, that's really weak thinking. I mean, I had
It's
this
what's
young,
called polyamory or
well,
whatever it
it's,
is.
it's called throw the DNA everywhere. It's called using women like their toilets. It's caused men having no responsibility for anything to the point that they think they can get away with this and do anything. And then how's the state want to deal with it? We're going to run DNA tests and make these guys pay child support payments, which half the time they're going to get out of doing because they were kind of weak men to begin with in the first place, and probably not very employable. And the ones that are real employable, they're messed up now by having to pay financiers for somebody that they thought it was just going to be a one night stand. They thought it was going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like
yeah.
going to
Because
a hooker.
this, this used to be the rule that a man only had the legal obligation to maintain his legitimate children. So if his kids are illegitimate, he said, "Well, I only wanted to have sex, so
Yeah,
why should I pay?"
absolutely,
I never
absolutely.
intended
Yeah.
to father his children.
Mm.
And this is what you can say to a prostitute if she comes to you, 3 months later and says, you knocked me up. It's like, well, so what? I never said I would pay for the kid. What I paid you for was for sexual services enjoyed then, not for the kid. And so, well, of course, no prostitute would ever do this sort of thing. But it's the kind of woman in between who would say that. And of course, in a patriarchy, the distinction would be obvious. You either had sex with your wife, or if you don't want that, you had sex with a prostitute. There would be no one in between for you to have sex with, unless it might be a person of your own sex.
Well,
But
this when this all really changed, it wasn't even just because of the hippie thing exactly. It was when birth control became, uh, was invented. And birth control pills is what I'm talking about here.
yeah, yeah,
Birth
because
control.
it may
Yeah.
carry on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, you can say something, Claire. I can ramble on. You can talk.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that it made everybody think, well, let's have sex. Oh, but I'm not on the pill. And it's like, well, go on the pill and then we can have sex. So women would do that, and then it would give men this kind of, fruit. Um, he gets to try the woman before he marries her. And so the
Oh, he gets to try the woman and marry somebody
yeah,
else. That's what it
yeah,
was.
exactly. And women become increasingly desperate, and it makes them more promiscuous because they're so desperate to get a man. It's like, well, I guess I have to, kiss a few frogs before I get to my prince, right? I mean, that's how they think now. Because
Well,
just to stay in the game, I have to occasionally put out, right?
for birth control pills were an accident. They were an accident. What had happened was, he had women with hormone problems, and so they came up with these different concoctions to try to balance women's hormones. Is what happened. And
Mm-hmm.
then somebody noticed, hey, nobody gets pregnant when they're doing this. So they
Mm-hmm.
started selling some of the different things as birth control pills.
Mm-hmm.
And then women were putting off marriage, and they were listening to all this liberalism stuff, and they were still had it together enough to actually want to study or make something out of themselves.
Mm.
So like they started partaking in the hippie stuff, even though they were on a track to being productive member of society, because they could do it and get away with it.
Mm.
So it was
But
kind of a.
future generations paid the price, and I guess the Pope was right about the pill.
What did the Pope say about the pill?
Well, he said no. Don't go on the pill. But the thing was,
Oh yeah, they see it as interfering with what God has set into
mm,
progress, that kind of thing. That's why way back before the pill and stuff, um, you know, married people that had like, maybe 8 kids already or something, and they just decide we can't have any more. The husband will move into a different room in the house because his wife was maybe still young enough to have children, because they just couldn't pay for all this.
but even this can be managed because you could have a government that says you can have the pill only when you've completed your family, and the
Well,
state will deem when you have completed your family at, it can be, say, well, 4 or 3 or 2, or whatever it wants to say. It can raise the number and lower the number. It's easy to control.
well,
And
I don't think the
and if you
state.
want to go on the pill and you're not married, are you a registered prostitute? Because if you're not a registered prostitute, then you can't go on the pill. I mean, all sorts of things could be done, right?
Well,
To
I don't believe in the government getting that involved with telling a couple, you have to have kids these 4 years, and after that, then you don't have to. I think couples can still decide that, but what would help people to decide to have children and stuff is this idea to be married first and then having the kids. Then you can have kids, and most married a
But
lot
the
a lot.
government will have to step in and say, well, if we catch you having kids without a marriage license, well, you're for it. You're going to get lashed 100 times in public, maybe at the local shopping mall.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they'd even have to go that far. They could just say, well, you're having a telling the woman you are having a child and you're not married. Uh, the state's not really going to pay for this, and we're not going to go after some guy you weren't married to because you didn't care enough about the whole thing to begin with. And a lot of people don't like this argument because it looks like you're picking on the women instead of the men, right?
But it's only women who are left holding the baby, so it behoves them to take more care. Men can always
Right.
skip town. It doesn't benefit a woman to arrive in a new town already pregnant and husbandless.
No, the whole thing's a mess. Women have not indulge in this kind of stuff. And birth control is not the answer to not indulging in this kind of stuff from an attitude view. Do you
Well, it
understand?
changes women's attitude towards sex. I don't know if you're aware that Japan is suffering from a declining birth rate now because of the pill, which they only went on in 1995, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. It was 95 they got the pill there, huh?
Yeah. And,
Oh,
but they're closing down schools and hospitals because women would just think, oh, I like having sex with this guy, and there are very few of them. So the chads get all the sex, and the boring betas don't, and that's what turns them into herbivores. There is this expression for Japanese men who've given up. They just stay in their room and they behave like girls. And don't
I,
want to get married. I think that there's a Western version of a herbivore.
just a minute. Just a second. What? Papa says, God damn it, he's going to go to Costco. Go, go. Thank you. You guys are on the internet when you're talking to me like this. Sorry, my somebody's okay. What was I
You
trying
have
to
to.
say? Oh, no, I don't have to go. Someone was giving me a phone message that somebody else. I'm like telling them, you're going to be on the internet here. I'm on a live stream. Anyway, there's a question here in chat. There's a question here in the chat. I'm finally starting to get the hang of these comments. I'd always had it clicked on private chat, so I never saw them before.
Ah,
Somebody said, "Can Western society exist without whiteness?" Right?
of course it can.
Well,
Of
listen,
course it
listen,
can.
listen. My view about it is, uh, it's not going to exist with white men acting like this. Okay, do you understand? I am encouraging white men to be better men, and they will be better men if they come to Islam because they will start adopt some conservatism, and they will start making babies, and they'll start feeling really guilty if they have a baby out of wedlock, or do something like that, and really try to take care of their child, hopefully, right? We're not talking about this model of what we're seeing with some of the Muslims. Like let's get three wives and get them all on welfare. We're not talking about that model, right? We're not talking about this. So can Western society survive without whiteness? Not if the white men are like this. It'll just be gone. It'll just disappear. So if white men can come up with a better program than this, garbage I've been seeing, yeah, we can have a Western culture that's quite outstanding. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? Do we want an outstanding future for our DNA offspring or whatever? Do we want something great again? And so, but why not try? I mean, white people, most white people aren't interested in Islam, for the prejudices and stuff, and because they are enjoying the liberalism sexathon that's going on, and this kind of stuff. But wow, what would happen if these white nationals actually became Muslim? Islam does not promote, shooting brown people off from the second story of a building, right? It doesn't promote anything like that. If they actually came to Islam, became way more conservative than what's going on now, it would be it would be an outstanding example. They would be an outstanding example to people to not only just succeed and get a paycheck, but as a human being. Right. Definitely much better than some of these discussions I've watched. They're unimpressive. The white nationals and stuff, they're totally unimpressive. And they seem they don't want to get married. They don't want to get married. They don't want to be responsible for anything, and they're kind of they get wimpy if somebody says anything to them. But why aren't you married? Why aren't they married? Why isn't anybody getting married anymore?
Because they
Right?
don't need to. Because men are primarily motivated by sex, and if they can get sex without marrying, and married sex is the most expensive form of sex, then why would they? That would be their answer. They would say, well, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? That's what that's the kind of thing they say.
Well, okay. Then why are the women giving the milk away for free? Right? Why are they doing that? I mean, and what
Because
is
they
the benefit? What is the benefit from it anyway?
because
Just a minute. What? Just a minute. What did you say?
okay, I was going to say that there is this thing called complementary schismogenesis. Have you heard this expression?
No, man, Claire, I'm a housewife. I'm not well educated like you and doing all this stuff. I've I've been
But
doing this
isn't it
stuff. So you
interesting?
tell
Like,
me. You tell
I
me
can
what
give
it
you
is.
an example of it.
Okay, give
And,
me an example.
okay, so basically, the two people, and one of them is thinking that the other person is talking too softly, and the other person is thinking the other person is talking too loudly. So the person talking loudly is saying, if I talk louder, I will get this person who's talking too softly to talk louder. So I'll keep talking louder
Okay.
in the hope that this person talking too softly will follow my example. And the same thing, the same thought occurs to the person speaking too softly. And so you will get, this crazy situation where one person is shouting and the other is whispering, which is ridiculous.
Okay, wait. I'm not following this. So you're going to talk loud to me, and then
In the
I.
hope of getting you to speak louder, because I'm thinking you're speaking too softly, and you're going to keep speaking softly and ever more softly, hoping that I will take the cue from you to speak softer because I'm talking too loudly as far as you're concerned.
Oh, okay. This is some. Okay, wait. So this is basically the women are trying to overpower the man talking louder, and the guy starts talking softer, kind of an idea.
Okay, what I'm saying.
Matriarchy is overdoing the patriarchy, kind of thing. What? Yeah.
Gender relations is so bad that people are not really communicating with each other very well. So they can only, they can't ask obvious questions the way you do. So men will say, "Oh, women are such bitches, and they'll just marry us and then divorce us and take our stuff and our baby, our children, and so
Well,
I'm not going to
yeah,
do it."
it's happening.
And because men won't marry, women get desperate and get more slutty in the hope of staying in the game by at least getting some man interested in her. So they get more slutty, and the men get more, well, even less prepared to marry because they think they're all slutty women everywhere. No need for us to marry, right? I mean, that's the kind of analogy I was trying to draw.
Well, I think I think you know maybe more back in the day, women kind of realized that marriage was a goal. But I'm not seeing younger people even understanding that until they're getting of an age, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh,
It's too
I
late. By
should
the
have,
time they
yeah,
understand, it's too
yeah.
late.
Wow, I
And then
should
they
have
get
got
angry and
married.
bitter, and then then they'll
Yeah,
they'll be mocked for being angry, bitter women who will become cat ladies.
yeah, and they'll be lonely and sad, and they won't have a family.
And
Family
and and,
is.
oh, and we're going to stop that, aren't we, Carol? We're going to tell them right
Well,
now
I am
what's
telling
in store.
everybody. I am telling everybody. Keep your pants on unless you're married. Keep them on. Just keep them on. You can do it. You can buy a belt. You can buy some suspenders. You can put on some really tight leggings that you can't hardly peel off. You can do something. Something. Just keep
You,
your
you, you can
pants
have
on.
Hey, we can do some merchandising. We can, sell your chastity belt.
Oh yeah, the great chastity belt. Let's make a chastity belt. Oh, that's a good one. I used to say this is really bad. Okay, when you go on Hajj, right? People push around the Kaaba, right? You're pushing it.
Mhm,
It turns it. It's very tight, and people pushing on it and stuff. And so, there's men pushing on you too. And it's in my case, I'm not real short. I'm 5'5", right? I'm five
mhm,
5'5".
mhm,
But if you're
mhm.
5'2", you get pushed down in that mess, right? So
Ah,
I can hold up. I could hold up okay. I don't know about now because I'm kind of old and arthritic, but I could manage to keep from being pushed down in that and getting trampled just
mhm.
because I was, that you were still able to do it in a crowd like that, right? If you got
What
any
did you do
short,
to stop yourself from being pushed down? But just by not hunching down,
well,
you
you
walked
have
toward.
to kind of make yourself really stiff and make sure you can't hunch because you're being pushed too hard by people, so
Mhm.
you can't hunch. So you have to keep up and
You walk
make
tall.
you make sure you don't trip and fall. You're gonna make sure you don't trip and fall, and then you're pushed like a sardine going around this thing. Right. But if you're shorter, if you're pushing like that, you will be pushed downward. Right.
Mhm. And
If
then
you're,
be trampled, perhaps.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very dangerous sometimes. Very dangerous.
Mhm,
Sometimes, depending,
mhm,
especially if somebody does something weird, like tries to bring a car in, or there's a stampede, they'll start
mhm.
a stampede. So you're one person in this. And, okay, why are we talking about the Hodge, Claire?
I started talking about complementary schismogenesis when people have the do something in the hope of achieving a result that was the opposite of what they intended.
Yeah, that's not what the thought process was. Okay, the rambling old woman has rambled off again. Um,
We were talking about sex before you mentioned Hajj, so I don't quite know. Oh, chastity belt.
oh, yeah, yeah. I used to have this joke that, okay, we've had enough of these men pushing on us in the Hodge, right? That
Uh,
we need to get this kind of underwear we could wear that has tacks that go outward. So if
Spiky.
somebody pushes up on us, they're getting stabbed with a tack. So maybe that would keep these guys from doing this. That was my idea. It's like we need to get this kind of Hodge underwear for women. So these men coming up behind, they're going to get stabbed if they just don't back off a little bit,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
right? So,
Yes.
women should have more respect for themselves and thinking they just have to go, you know, be part of the sex thing, and maybe they need to tell themselves they're not toilets for men to expel their product in and then just go do it again with somebody else and go do it again with someone else. Maybe they need to think of some of this gross imagery,
Yes, to tell them that don't you become a cat lady who's been pumped and dumped after going round the
Oh,
concourse of
I don't want to hear. I don't
Jericho.
want to hear that. That's talking like Daniel Hackachoo. I don't think women. I don't think a man can talk to women like that. I think women need to talk to women like that, and I think men need to be honest. The men who want to get married don't want really a man who actually really wants a wife doesn't want someone that's been with 30, 40 guys, and a lot of young people have been with that many partners now. So you have like these people that are having a lot of sex, and then you have like the incels and stuff that don't have any, right? So
What
you it's
about a marriage bureau for
a
white
what?
Muslim converts?
A what? Hello?
I was suggesting that you might run a marriage bureau for white Muslim converts who are prepared to discuss secular
Well,
Quranism.
now here's an interesting idea. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't think Claire, they're not ready for your thinking. They just don't understand. They're not getting it.
But the thing is, okay, presumably these white nationalists, they understand that they have to sexually reproduce right?
Mhm.
But
And they're
there
promoting
must,
and they're
yeah.
promoting the idea that we don't need a marriage to do this. That's what they're promoting. In other words, they're saying they're not worth anything to their children. That's what somebody's saying. A man that starts talking like that, he's saying he isn't important in the child's life enough to marry the mother of his children so he can have an influence on them. And that's what he's saying when they refuse marriage. That's what a man's saying. He's not just saying he doesn't have a commitment to the woman, he's saying he doesn't have a commitment to a child he's created. That's what they're saying. They don't want to be forced to commit. They don't want to be forced to be responsible. Now they're going to have an idea they're going to be responsible in 2 generations. Okay, good for you. Good for you. What about
So the only
society
way
today?
to work this is to attack the supply of sex from
Well, yeah,
promiscuous women.
women need to think about
Supply side morality. So
women.
that's why women get call ups. It's like you.
Women need to think about what do I really want in the future, and what is the best course of behavior to get that. And if I have children, what's going to be the best thing for my child? They need to think more rationally than what I'm seeing. Okay. You can't possibly think having a child by yourself is going to be a great thing to do. What if you get in a car accident? Right? You get in a car accident and the child has a father that has no emotional attachment to it because the child was a product of, you got drunk and had at
Mm,
it in a car in a parking lot at some bar or something, right? Because a lot of
mm,
that's going on. I I knew someone that's child was from that,
mm,
and then she went after the guy for child support, and then the his wife left him.
mm,
So now his kids from that wife no longer had a father in the home. See,
mm,
I'm not advocating why would a woman want to stay with a man who's behaving like that? They probably would. They don't. But I'm just saying is he ruined a bunch of kids' lives. By
mm,
now, he can't even be a stable influence on them.
mhm.
This I don't people think they're more important than that? Like
Well,
themselves. Like don't they have enough feeling that yeah, man, I'm important. I'm important enough that if I have a kid, I really need to be around that child. And it's not, 2 weekends a week or once a week or, yeah, I had you with your mom. Like, oh, yeah, that was a great party. Is that, yeah, I forgot all about her. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even know I had these kids. Wow. That's interesting. It's not a good mindset. It's not anything.
Well,
You
the
don't
only
want
way that would discourage this sort of behaviour, unfortunately, verses like chapter 24, verse 2, because, people are so far gone now that they're actually incapable of thinking in these terms that we've just been saying.
what was
And, and,
that?
and, and even if they understood, they'd still think, oh, it won't happen to me, I'll get away with it. You know, if
They're
there's no law that says that.
Oh, okay. What was that citation? Was that from the Bible or the Quran? What was that
On
numbers you
chapter
said?
24, verse 2.
Chapter 4, verse 2 in the Quran.
24.
Oh,
24.
24, verse 2.
Mm.
Okay, so we're talking about Quran. Um, what are we gonna say here?
Have you got your copy in front of you?
Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. I was just writing it down to look at later because you were
Uh,
talking about. We can. Okay, just leaving Islam out of it and stuff. Why hasn't anyone isn't anyone saying to younger women, this is a bad track, you're gone,
the
thinking
mothers
like
don't
this?
even say that. The mothers don't even say that to their daughters. They don't.
Well, a lot of the mothers aren't saying it because their kids know their mothers weren't married when they had them.
Yeah, well, that is the kind of degenerative social and moral disease that you suffer from after more than one generation of this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
which began in 1964. Formally, that's when the swinging 60s began. I don't know what happened in 1964 to make it the official start date, but that's what it was. That means um, it, it's 58 years, which is what, three generations.
Yeah, it's three generations. And my parents were old enough to be my grandparents. So I was actually brought up by people who were more conservative than that, than what would have been. Like, I'm the end of the baby boomers, but my parents were the uh, older version of what could produce a baby boomer, I guess is
Mm-hmm.
how you would look at it. So they were very conservative. They didn't have any of these
They
ridiculous,
did go to Woodstock.
huh? Oh, Woodstock. Yeah, let's go to Woodstock. Yeah, that wasn't happening for me, man. House to go to Woodstock. That was such a bummer, Claire. There's just no way I could make it to Woodstock, you know. And they had it down on me that, yeah, look here, you little, you want to wear these funny looking clothes, but you're not going to no Woodstock. You know what I'm saying? So, I had to settle with the album. Oh, okay, I got the Woodstock album. I'm going to listen to that now. But, they were on top of it. My parents were really on top of it. And they didn't have this idea. This is really awful. They did not have the idea of innocent until proven guilty. All right. Their attitude was, I'm smelling a little guilt here. I'm smelling a situation that can turn into big guilty. You're not going to be allowed in it. And I'll give you an example. I was just telling my daughter this last night. Uh, I was in junior high or whatever, right? And we had so I'm going into ninth grade. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so our high school was ninth, 10th, and 11th and 12th together. So my
So, for
parents
the
really
benefit
did.
of British people, how old are ninth graders?
Oh, okay. Let's see. How old are ninth graders? Let's see. We got kindergarten. Um, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, wait a minute. I'm running out here. Okay. Oh, gosh,
Counting on your fingers.
yeah, I got to think on my fingers here. Just a minute. Okay, we got 6, 7, 8. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, 9, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, about 14, 15, right? 14,
Uh-huh,
15 year
uh-huh.
olds. So we had been on vacation for the first week before school started. So got in a little bit late, and I got put in these classes. And one of them was a piano class with this girl. I don't want to say her name on the air. Let's make up a name. Sylvia Lewis. Okay, Sylvia Lewis. All right. So I'm in piano class. I meet this girl in piano class, and she's kind of she was kind of amusing talking to her. She's kind of so she says, I got access to a car. Let's go out. I was like, oh wow, oh yeah, she's got access to a car. Oh, okay. So I tell my mom, hey mom, we're gonna go roller skating. We want to go roller skating, right, at this roller rink. So my mom says, well, I'm not giving you any money, right? She's not going to
Mm-hmm.
give me money. She wasn't going to give me money for it. So I had the piggy bank that I kept all my change in because we weren't given an allowance in my house. So you didn't get money for doing nothing. And they just decided if you could have money or not. And they decided I wasn't going to have money to go to the roller rink. But, I could go somewhere with her. So we went to the roller. So I had all my change stuck in this pants pocket, right? A lot of change. So I go with this girl, and I didn't know what I thought we were going to do, but man, she started cruising into every single. She knew everybody from all the high schools, all the different party scenes. Do you know what I mean? I was like, wow, what is going on? So we go to one house and she knew those people. And then we go to another house. She knew those people. She went through a whole row of these houses that all had these parents not in the house and these people having these parties. And then she'd go off to another one, right? She didn't even stay
Mhm.
at one for very long. It was like she was talking to her network or something. And it went across like 3 or 4 schools. And she'd met
Mhm.
all these people by making friends with a massive amount of guys, I guess, saying, "Hey, you want to smoke a joint?" Like this. So she met all this stuff. So anyway, I'm a young person. And of course, my years in school up to that point was pretty uneventful, right? So I'm
Uh-huh.
just like, holy moly, I've hit the jackpot now. My high school years are going to be fun, 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 right? So I came
Uh-huh.
home. So I come home, right, thinking, wow, she's
Stoned.
got a car. She's got a car. She knows every single party. She knows all these people from all the schools in my town and the neighboring towns. I've never seen anybody like this before, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
just sitting there thinking, wow, it's a dream come true. I'm gonna be popular. It's heaven, right? The next day, my mom comes in my room, picks up my pants because she's going to do the laundry, and here's all the change in the pocket, right? I never could do anything with Sylvia Lewis again until I
Mhm.
graduated from high school. You think my mom thought I went to that roller rink? Well, obviously I did it.
Mhm.
Thing I would have said, no, she didn't. I was guilty. That was it. She made me guilty, and I never could be friends with that girl again. There was no little talk about, this isn't the best choice to do. It was like, you little liar, you're not going anywhere with this girl again. And that was the end of that. And
Uh-huh.
I managed to get through high school in a more dull fashion than what I had kind of hoped it would be when I saw all this. But that
Uh-huh.
was a good thing. My parents were on
Yeah.
top of it. Kids
Yeah.
need parents that are on top of it.
Yes.
They need real parents that are on top of it.
So how old, much older was this girl?
Oh, she was uh I think she was one grade older. No, I'm not sure if she was older than me or if she was in one grade older. If she was the same grade or one grade older. She just had access to some car for some reason. She had access to a car, and her parents weren't on top of it. You know what I mean? So that
What
was it.
are you saying she didn't even have a proper driving license?
Oh no, she had a. Oh yeah, she must have been a year older. She must have been a year older.
And you can drive at 16, or what was it? I don't know
Wow,
what's the
that's a good
driving age for
question.
American.
Was she? Yeah, I don't. I think you could take. I think you could take driving in your sophomore year. She might have been one of the. She might have been a year ahead of me, but was right at that cutoff age. If she'd been a couple days earlier, she would have been in the upper grade. You know what I mean? We have cutoff ages like one of my kids was at a cutoff birth date that if she'd been born one day later, she wouldn't have even been able to start school. That she would have had to wait a year. So this girl might have
Okay.
been something like that. It might have been something like that. So because you got put in driver's ed by your age, they did
Mhm.
kind of look at your age. So yeah, somehow she had this car. But the point is, this is parents looking at things. This isn't a parent looking at things. They're gone. They've checked out. They're just going to wait till the something really horrible happens before they're paying attention to what anyone's going on. My parents didn't overthink it. It was very clear. Okay, you
Mhm.
lied. Somehow you're
Mhm.
guilty. You're just
Mhm.
guilty. Don't know what you did. We're not going to have a trial. We're not going to explore this or find some excuse for it.
Mhm.
You just aren't going to see Sylvia Lewis for the rest of your life. So I only got to talk to her at piano class and lunchtime after
Mhm.
that, you
Oh,
know?
that's a great.
So
That's a great story.
well, it's true. It was that's what you call involved parenting, not
Yes,
being an idiot,
yes.
not being a moron.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was it was good. You became an
Mhm.
adult. You didn't have kids. You didn't have a kid before you finished
You
school,
got
and
that.
then you were at an age that you were old enough to realize, oh
Mhm.
yeah, that would have really been horrible having a kid. Then it's
Mhm.
like, oh man, that would
Mhm.
have been awful if I had a kid. Because you're looking around, you're seeing some of the people who did that. They didn't look that happy actually, unless they actually did get married to somebody else that kind of worked out. So
Yeah.
is this good advice to tell people? Oh, you have sexual feelings. Go explore them. Explore your sexual feelings with Tommy on the football team. I'm just, I'm not seeing it, Claire. I'm not seeing it. You got the adults buying into this. The teachers are telling you this. Oh yeah, sexual feelings, and we sell condoms in the bathroom now to facilitate you having your sexual feelings expressed under the bleachers on the PE field. I mean, this is, I mean, what is this? This thinking's so bad. It's so bad. And then you have all these people out of, nobody's in the house. Nobody's in the
Uh-huh.
houses. When I was growing up, okay, my mom was in the house. Some of the other kids' parents were at home because both parents had to work. But a lot of people still had parents in the house. That party scene was a lot of people whose mothers weren't in the house during the daytime, and then they
Mhm.
would go on these vacations thinking they could trust their kid at home alone. Right, so we're gonna, you have small kids that you need to leave them with a babysitter and stuff. If you go do
Mhm,
something, you
mhm,
have to do that. They actually think you can leave 16-year-olds alone in a house. What do
mhm,
they think they're going to do if they're kind of popular and they know a lot of people? That's going to be a
mhm,
party house that night, and then maybe the parents doing this. You
mhm.
got a whole, oh, why, my goodness, that must be a parallel society, Claire. Right? That's a parallel society. The parallel society, the party people, right? That's what happens. But now it's the party people, the majority. Now it's the majority. And how's it working out for everybody? Not so great. I don't think this doesn't look good to me, what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
My one of my my I try to bring my kids up conservative and stuff, and I wasn't a perfect mom and all this kind of stuff. But
Mhm,
some one didn't like it at all, one like didn't.
mhm,
I got criticized for us being too conservative and stuff. But one of my kids was telling me, because she works in a profession where she talks to a lot of people,
mhm.
right? And she could not believe what so many people went on went on in their lives because hers. I mean, she did see people doing some of these things, but she didn't see the real effects of it at all. And she said she had no idea it was such a mess. And she told me that was, Mom, this I think the way I brought up was right.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
not saying like in the sense of you know the Islam thing. She said they're a mess. These people are a mess.
Mm,
All these
mm,
people they're just a mess. All these people have, I mean, all kinds of people she knew in high school have drug and alcohol problems now. All kinds of them.
mm.
Because they didn't get a vision. They didn't get a vision. They weren't able to let them mature in a real stable sort of way to where they could become adults that could make a decision because they haven't already um, given into, they haven't already done a bunch of things that they're really too young to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vincent would like a word with you.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
okay. Yes, yes, I thought that was a great conversation you had with him the other day.
Well,
Um,
I think he's probably seeing it as I'm saying something bad about him. I'm talking about stability. I'm not. I'm looking at it more clinically as stability for a child, stability in a different way. And I don't agree with his lifestyle. Okay, so what? I don't agree with it. But yeah, I don't mind talking to Vincent. He was pretty friendly.
hmm, hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, he's one of. Well, I stream with him quite regularly because
Hmm.
I realise that what he's trying to do is actually the complete opposite, the antithesis of what I'm trying to do. But in a way, it's well, well, here he comes.
Hmm. Oh, there he is.
Hi, Vincent.
Hello.
Oh, I see your little fist up there, Vincent. Your avatar is the fist, huh? The little photo of
It's
the fist.
I'm wearing a bracelet.
No, I mean I'm just talking about. I got my glasses on today. Okay.
Yes.
All right. How
Yes.
you
How are
doing?
you? How are
I'm
you?
fine. Fine. I'm doing good.
I was listening to what you were saying for the past few minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
um, you were talking about child sexuality and what's going on with that, and
Mm-hmm.
you were talking about conservative values and not like letting them out or leaving them alone and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I always think about that. So I've noticed a pattern where people who are very sexually conservative did not become sexually awakened at a very young age. They what I've noticed again and again against with people who are against homosexuality and people who are against sexuality in general, they always tell you you could not have been that sexual at that young. Like, oh, you couldn't have had sexual thoughts at 4 years old.
Oh, I never. Oh no, I don't believe that. I don't know about having sexual thoughts at 4, but elementary school kids have sexual thoughts. The girls do all the time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I was young, and so I wasn't able to get my hands on porn until I was probably 13.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to use the internet to meet a 50-year-old for sex, um, until I was 15 or 16, 16.
Mm-hmm.
So my only problem with this is that I wasn't able to do it more and that I was inhibited from doing it. As an adult, that is my problem. Um,
Your problem is that you didn't get to express sexual feelings at a much younger age. You're saying?
uh, enough. Yeah, I wasn't able to use porn. I wasn't able to go out and meet people and have sex and things like that, which I would have very much have liked to do. Um, and I think that sex is a very instinctual and primal urge, and I think it's a very social activity. Like, bonobos all have sex with each other. It's a social activity. It's not just for mating. Um, I think that some humans have a degree of that bonobo um, mentality or bonobo makeup. Not everyone does, but some people do.
Okay, just a minute.
And
I don't quite understand the term bonobo. What
oh,
is that?
bonobo is a type of monkey.
Oh, oh, we're talking
Bono
about monkeys.
No,
Okay.
but no. Well, okay. Have you ever heard everyone makes the comparison between bonobos and I think chimpanzees, and they're like chimpanzees are monogamous, whereas bonobos will have sex with each other. Uh,
Oh, oh, okay, okay. All right.
yes, there's people critique human sexuality based on bonobos versus I think chimpanzees.
Okay.
Um, so I think some people are bonobos, and I think some people are bonobos, and they're demonized. Like there's something wrong with you. There's something bad about you. Um, if you're a bonobo. So like I wanted to socialize sexually. Now I did have sexual interaction with other children at a young age. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I usually initiated it. I knew exactly what I was doing, and
And these were people the same age as you or younger than you?
yes, the same
Same
age.
age. Okay.
And um, I just wish I had done it more. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the problem was that I was restrained rather than I was um, Look, what I'm saying is society needs to be set up a lot more so this is not so kids don't need to go like do it secretly, where it's done in a very safe environment where everyone knows what's going on. Birth control is in effect, or STD prevention is in effect, and it's set up for them so that they can do it safely. And I think that that would be the ideal situation I wish I was raised in.
Well, I don't, I don't like getting real personal about my stuff on the internet, even though I've told some stories here. So, how were you raised? If it's okay for you to share it, I don't
I
know.
was raised until the age of 9. I was raised like typical. My father sent me to CDC. My father was Catholic, so when I was
CDC? Oh,
five,
catechism class you're
yeah.
talking about? Uh-huh.
So when I was 5, I went to catechism class, but then I moved back with my mother, and she was like a Protestant, and she didn't talk very much about religion. She did bring us to church on Christmas. I know she
Catholic
went
church? Or no, Protestant church. Okay,
Protestant
Protestant.
churches,
Okay.
and she went to churches without us. I did go to Sunday school for a while. I did go to Sunday school, and then when I was 9 years old, we converted to Jehovah's Witness. So everything became
Whoa,
very
what year did you go? When you were 9, you became Jehovah Witness.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was raised very conservative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jehovah Witness is very conservative, very literal with the Bible. Okay. So what else? What else you want to tell me?
Um, I think that
Okay, so you were fine until she joined the Jehovah Witness church. Is that what you're saying, or your mom was just
yeah,
real?
I
Uh-huh.
think I was fine. I wasn't so disturbed. I became very disturbed in the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was a disturbing place.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have a bad um, relationship with a religion they were brought up in. Jehovah Witnesses are a little bit, they're so insular. They actually don't want anyone to be friends with people who aren't Jehovah Witnesses for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I know they're kind of like that. Um, okay, so which one of these things do you want to talk about? But
Well, okay. So, okay, there's the example where I personally wish for others what I wish for myself is what is going on. And I think people who are pushing child sexuality feel the same and have the same experience. Um, Children don't have to have sex. Um, Children can make the decision not to have sex. Um, I think that that should be offered as an option too. I mean, I think that they should be told that there's nothing wrong with not engaging in this activity. But if you feel this way, there's nothing wrong with doing it either. I think putting shame on a primal urge really disturbs people and even young children because they do. I had sexual needs at a young age and they weren't met, and it was very hard for me. I think it's just as hard for me as an adult when I can't express myself sexually as it was as a child. I don't think that it's like, I think that frustration was very pent up. And I think that frustration leads to a lot of problems in society. And I think it leads to a lot of mental illnesses. The other thing I did want to talk about is that when monogamy was enforced, there was no system built up for polygamy or polyamory. I think that we need to polyamorous people need to purposely set up stable family networks. And it should be based, okay, I have a website called practicalpolygamy.net, and I only have one article on it, but I'm trying to make people think that even it doesn't even necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm in love with this person, I want to have sex with this person. It's more money, it's pooling resources, it's community, it's a place to raise your children, it's freedom, it's stability with free love, and I think that we should think about it practically. And I identified without me even saying it that I'm a eugenicist. So, you were saying that, oh, if you produce children like farms, they're going to be taken away from the parents and things like this. Is not a farm. This
No,
is more.
I'm saying when I'm saying that is that it's the next step in logic.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Well, let me finish. It's the next step an extension of how far the logic can go. I had some Mormons that came to my house one time, and they were discussing their theology. You know, the Mormons go around and you know how they
Mhm.
talk. Okay, they were coming to my house and talking to me and stuff. You know, and I was bored. You know, I'm a housewife and I didn't get a lot of visitors. So, oh, here's some adults to talk to, some kids, right? So they they came in and they started coming. They're telling me the theology, and then finally I just said, well, this theology is it's basically going to go to that you yourself are God. And then they got kind of excited and said, "Oh, you're the first one that ever realized this, and we don't usually tell people this right away." And then they got some song out they sang or something. But the next step in all of this is extending outward in authority, and this will be the scientific reason why I don't agree with it. Not based on just that Islam says this stuff isn't okay. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So in Islam, we're not going to say we're not going to look at bonobos and chimpanzees as the idea of which one of these is the best way to live, because we don't believe we're bonobos or chimpanzee. We believe we were humans. So Islam, the idea is that the elevated human, we're going to elevate humans up. Okay, so I don't agree with that idea. I'm not promoting some idea that we're going to pick a species out of the 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 animal kingdom and have that be the example to us as a lifestyle choice. Okay, that's how I'm seeing that. And the let's see, what else were we talking about here? You were brought up a lot of stuff. That's my feeling. Age were you when you were with a 50-year-old man? How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay, you're 16 with a 50-year-old man. That's if you were going to do this stuff, that's not okay. That's a man with too much power and authority over somebody.
Oh, please. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Well, okay, you knew what you were doing as far as you're concerned, but so did he.
Okay, so what? We both knew what we were doing. He didn't
Well,
harm
so
me
did he.
anyway. He didn't have any negative intentions for me.
No, he just had intentions for himself.
Okay, so did I.
Okay, so that's great. We're all going to have sex now because we don't care about other issues. We're just going to care
What
about
other
ourselves.
issues?
Just this whole thing. This whole thing is crazy.
What
I mean,
other what other issues?
if you had told me the person was your same age,
You're not giving me reasons why. That you're just
because
saying
there's a
that.
hierarchy of power among people. Okay, if there's a huge age gap between two people, and the person is, I don't think it's sick. Okay, in Islam, though, they would say a 15-year-old is, you're responsible for your religion and stuff, but a 15-year-old can't deal with adult society. A 50-year-old man has no reason to be with a 15-year-old young guy, even if they both think there's nothing wrong with it.
Well,
Okay,
I think there's nothing wrong with sex, so I don't see why. Okay, there's other things like
I'm talking
you
about
could.
the thinking of the man. I'm not talking about the thinking of the 15-year-old boy. I'm talking about the thinking of the 50-year-old man
Yeah,
here.
but what's wrong with him thinking? There's nothing wrong with sex, so what's wrong with him thinking of me sexually?
What's wrong? What's wrong is him acting on it.
Why? Because there's nothing wrong with sex, so
Because
why?
there is a difference of power between a
But if
50-year-old
there's
man and a
nothing wrong with
15-year-old.
sex, if there's nothing wrong with sex, that's not a problem. Power difference is not a problem.
Oh, sure it is. Sure it
In
is.
there's power difference in everything.
Okay.
So
So
why
what's the point?
specifically sex is it bad?
Because young people need to develop until they're actually mentally able to understand the full participation in society as an adult. Okay, this is really important. So they need to preserve this so that when the child, a child is older, they can actually make a choice. Now the choice is being taken away from young people when the adults in their lives let these situations come up. Do you
That's
understand?
ridiculous. No, that's
No, it's not.
ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous at
I
all.
was very happy to make the choice every time I had sex.
Well, good for you. I mean,
I
okay, you
know,
were
but
happy about it, and you're not seeing that. But I it's still taking away the choice of someone entering
no.
adulthood, being able to enter adult society,
I
making
think this
a
defies
free
logic.
choice. No, well, whether defies logic or not, we're not bonobos or
Okay,
chimpanzees
okay,
either.
this has nothing to do with bonobos or chimpanzees, but I mean, what you're saying right now, I knew what I was doing and I understood what sex was.
Yeah, a lot of girls that go with older men understand that, and then maybe later they kind of start thinking that maybe that wasn't such a good
Not
idea.
all. There's lots of young girls that went with older men and they don't feel bad.
No,
That's
they don't all feel bad about it. No, they don't all feel bad about it because nobody made them think twice about it. Yep. See, nobody wants to admit ever that maybe it would have been just nicer if you'd let people decide some of these things when you were older. And people are not part of adult
okay.
society at 15 in the United States. They just
Okay,
aren't.
all these people in the schools and all around the world and whatever 50% of the population is promoting this because they feel as though they were damaged by not by having their sexuality restrained. Okay,
How are you
so
damaged? How are you damaged if you are waiting? Okay, nobody's asking anybody to wait till they're 40 years old, but
no, I'm
why?
sorry, that was damaging to me. I didn't get what I needed. I wasn't getting what I needed when I was a child.
So, how's this manifesting now?
Um, how is this manifesting now?
Yeah. How's this
Um,
manifesting now? Like, okay, this damaged
okay, well,
you.
yeah, because it made it, let's say I wasn't allowed to go outside and play. Like, it damages you if you're not allowed to go outside and play. It damages you if anything is that you need that is a need that is suppressed. And I had a need that was suppressed, and so that's not good.
You had a need that was suppressed. What age? What age do you think people should start expressing sexual action? It's one
Whenever
thing to have feel. I understand. I'm not talking about feeling. I'm not talking about in their mind. Like when they think of it. When do you think? At what age is it that you think people should start engaging in sexual acts and it's not a problem?
Well, the youngest age I ever engaged in a sexual act, it wasn't like a blowjob or anal or anything like that. But the first time that I ever had sexual contact was at uh 6 years old.
Okay, 5 or 6, but that's not the question I asked you. I mean, I wasn't going to ask you that question, but what age is it do you think all children are able to,
I
you know,
think when they are ready to do it.
I don't know how you're defining ready to do it when
I
they
think
feel like
when
they want to.
when they understand what it is, when they understand what it is, and um, they initiate it.
How would a 5-year-old actually know what this is?
I knew what I was doing. This is
I
what
didn't
I'm
say what
saying.
you were doing. I didn't say what you were doing. I'm asking, how does a 5-year-old know that they want to go do that? How do they know?
It was an urge.
Okay, it's an urge, but how would they even know this urge? How would they even know what that urge meant at 5?
Well, I knew how to act on it
Yeah, why? How did you know how to act on it?
because it's a natural primal instinct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so this is no problem with you that somebody's going to have because a 5-year-old's going to make this decision. You know, you can't even leave a 5-year-old in the house to take care of themselves, and you think they can make a decision like that?
Well, because I don't think there's anything wrong with sex. That's why.
Well, whether you think there's anything wrong with it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in a house by yourself either,
No,
but
there's
they
nothing
can't.
wrong with. Well, okay, fine. I mean, you don't. I mean, if, like I said, if it's just expected that this is going to happen, you can make the environment safe. If it's just expected if it's expected that this will happen, um, then they can be like supervised or whatever.
Supervised?
Well, um, to a degree, like I think that they just, yes, it needs to be, yeah, I think that they need to be taught, okay, you have this urge and it's a need. It's a need. Like, okay, when I took a CNA class, we learned what needs are. These were things that I took a certified nursing assistant class, and we had lists of needs that people need to live, and sex was listed. So it is a need. And if it's unfulfilled, it causes problems in your life.
Okay,
And
so basically, you think a 5-year-old can go decide because they have a need that I would say they wouldn't even know what it was at 5 if they hadn't seen something that looked like porn or something somewhere
no,
to have somebody to
this is
doing
what
that.
this is
And
what I,
look, I'm not. I did look. You're promoting some kind of a pedophilia.
no,
In
I'm
fact, you're
not.
promoting pedophilia
No,
when
I'm
someone's
not.
not even married. You know, everybody wants to make fun of Muslims. This is incredible what you're advocating. How in the hell is that going to make a stable society? This kind of thinking that you're going to have 5-year-olds deciding that they're going to have sex with people. They can't even, they're not even old enough to go in there and use a kitchen knife to make a peanut butter sandwich.
Holding a kitchen knife has nothing to do with sex.
Oh,
There's
this
no
has
comparison.
plenty to do with the whole thing here. Okay? This is plenty to do with this, and this is it's wrong. It's wrong.
But your reasoning is it's wrong because it's wrong.
It's wrong because it's abuse, because you're not letting somebody grow up, being able to process growing up to make their decisions as
Sex
an
was not that
adult.
hard. Okay, I obviously feel as an adult, I understood what sex was when I was a child.
Well, okay, maybe you understood what it was, but I'm sure some adults had a better understanding. Okay, this is really this is insane talk here. I'm sorry. I mean, this defies. You know, we're going to sit here and discuss how like being a promoting 5-year-olds, they had a need to go have sex when they're 5. Heck, ma'am, when I oh yeah,
You see
so
this?
now you're saying if somebody's 6 and they don't want to have sex with anybody, you're saying okay, they don't have to if they don't want to, but somehow you're you're more intelligent because you wanted to do it when you were 5. I mean, this is social pressure on children
No,
to
I didn't say
engage in
more intelligent.
sex.
No, it's not social pressure. You are under no obligation to engage in sex. None.
A 5-year-old can't even stand up against to a 10-year-old that wants to be
Well,
aggressive on.
I think that there needs to be a certain understanding of
Same
age with,
age, something
yes.
like that. You think they should be the same age? Okay, well, you know, a lot of people that they start engaging in sexual activity younger, um, they do that. By the time they're adults, they're bored with it, and it has to extend out to more and more stuff. S and M, more objectification of the other
No,
person they're
that's
having
what
sex
happens
with?
when you suppress it. We already have tons of that because it's suppressed. They didn't get enough of it, and so they now need to go to extremes to fill in the gap. I mean, we already have tons of that. We have tons and tons
Well,
of that.
I thought you were saying the monogamous people have the kids that are repressed.
They do.
Well, the monogamous people aren't all running around in leather belts and whipping each other with chains.
Of course, a
You're
lot of
not
them will.
making
Oh
any
no,
sense. I mean, some do this kind of stuff because they're exposed to it by looking at porn and stuff. Why on earth is a
no, I
5-year-old
wasn't
looking at
exposed to
porn?
porn. I wasn't exposed to porn.
No, I'm just telling you. I'm just
Okay, but
telling
I
you the
wasn't
reasoning
exposed to
here is
porn. But
okay. You weren't exposed to porn. You started engaging. Let's see, what age did you say you started engaging in it at 5?
5 to 6.
Okay, 5 to 6. You explore that. You know, kids playing doctor at 5 and 6. Most people aren't encouraging the idea like, oh, you're sexual stress, and they're just saying, look, get your pants on, quit doing this. You know, let's get out here and go play some ball, or let's go swimming. Let's go do some fun stuff here. We're not going to sit around as adults and organize. Okay, we're going to make it a safe space for you to indulge in this even more when you're 5. This is not responsive parenting.
But
You
you're
are
not giving
advocating.
reasons why. You're not giving reasons why.
I gave you a reason because they become an adult and they no longer have free choice anymore because they've already been indulging in all of that.
Well, that you're just saying that. I mean, who subscribes to this theory of yours that just because you engaged at it in as a child, you no longer have a choice? Like, what backing does this?
Somebody who's not comparing humans to whatever that monkey is in a chimpanzee.
Okay, forget that. Forget that.
Why do I have to forget it? Look, you've
Because
done this
it's
before.
irrelevant.
You're talking about bringing up kids. Okay, they've got sexual feelings. They can do all these sexual feelings. Everybody's got sex on the outside world. All this, we're gonna engage in this. There was a preschool that I went in, and this one student at nap time, this girl, she would get on top of people and try to act like she was having sex. She was a little kid, right? So I'm talking to the mom outside. Anyway, the mom's telling me that her husband used to sit around watching porn until her daughter got old enough to ask, "What's that?" She'd already seen so many images of this stuff.
Okay, but I mean okay, tons of people were sexual young that never saw porn.
It doesn't matter. This has to do with parents. Do you understand? Parents need to take control of some of this stuff. Okay, this is insane. This is insane that you're advocating this kind of a lifestyle and this kind of thinking. How is that going to help society?
How is it going to hurt it?
How's it helping? How's it doing anything?
How is it hurting?
Making complete instability and making everybody think parents parenting their kids isn't relevant. How's this helping?
No, because there's nothing wrong with sex, so none of what you're saying applies. It's like letting them outside and playing.
Oh, okay. Well, I know this. I don't want you living next door to me if I've got some kids around. Okay? Because they don't need to be infected with this kind of thinking at 5. They can think about this when they're about 20. If they want to think about it.
Do you know anything about the book Brave New World?
Oh, I don't remember reading it. I don't know if I read that one or not.
Okay,
but
I don't
want to continue a discussion with someone that's advocating 5-year-olds can go have sex with anybody like that.
Not anybody. I didn't say anybody.
Anybody they feel like having it with. You know how easy it is to groom a kid. This is insane.
I'm not grooming children. I'm letting
not talking about you personally. Okay, this whole mindset is, and it sounds to me like you're trying to justify it. Okay,
I am trying to justify it.
Well, then
justify what? Justify
why?
what?
Why? How is this a better world? A better world?
Because it's like because the needs of the child are met.
Oh, brother. You know, okay, look. you can go examine the animal kingdom some more and find more ways to describe why you think humans can do that. Okay? The Muslims are going to be discussing how to elevate above the animal kingdom and produce a better human to create justice in the world
Okay.
and a better future. Okay?
Okay, and you're all going to do the
5-year-olds.
same because you're sexually repressed, like you are. You are because you're sexually suppressed.
You don't know what I am sexually. You have no idea.
I
Okay?
said Muslims. I meant Muslims, not you personally.
Muslims are sexually repressed. Okay, sexually repressed people seem to be able to bring up children.
Okay, but we've never lived in a society where children were not sexually repressed. So everyone was, everyone who has children today in the past million years, or not million, but um, was sexually repressed. And there's tons of horrible parenting. There's good parenting. Um, it's 50-50.
Well, look, after listening to you, I don't think I'm going to take any parenting advice from you. Okay? I'm not going to take parenting advice from somebody that's advocating this kind of stuff. You're not someone who's just in a polyamorous relationship. You're promoting children being in a polyamorous relationship. Okay,
Okay,
and I
wait.
did that. So that's enough of this. Don't
Why?
say, "Oh, wait," and you're going to play some liberal idea extension here and try telling me this is okay. You would have to be a moron to think you're safe to be around kids. Okay, I'm sorry. That's how. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm telling you flat out.
Okay, wait, let me ask you this. Why are you acting like this is not almost mainstream discussion? I mean, you're acting as
I don't
though
care if it's mainstream. I
okay,
want to
but you're
turn around.
okay,
I
but you're
want to
acting
turn
as though
around.
okay,
I want this
I'm not
turned
around your
around.
kids. I'm not around your kids.
Well, you're
So
around
don't worry about
somebody's
it.
kids. Okay.
Well, okay, half of the world's population or half of America's population thinks that's not a problem. So
Oh boy, you keep changing the statistics when I talk to you.
no,
Versus
it's 50%. It's 50%. That's why we're in power.
50% of the mainstream people in the United States thinks it's okay for a 5-year-old to express themselves sexually with somebody
That's
else.
where are we giving out condoms in high school? How much? I mean,
High school is not a 5-year-old.
we're almost there.
I don't. I. This is ridiculous. Okay, so now we're almost there, and that's the goal. That's your goal for society, that 5-year-olds can express themselves sexually with people their own age and maybe a couple more years older. And then maybe when they're 15, they can be with a 50-year-old man. And we're going to we're just going to move on like that and forge a new world, right? That's your idea?
Yes.
Well, okay, it sucks. Okay, and I don't even need religion or anything to tell you it sucks. Logic tells me it sucks. Okay.
Well, I think what
And
you're doing sucks.
Well, I don't care.
Well, I don't care what you think either.
Okay, fine. I'm working on the idea of promoting the it doesn't have to be monogamous. It can be polygamy if it's, we're talking, the Islamic model. That traditional family value that produced the greatest generations people saw. Okay? This isn't going to produce the great generation of anything. What you're suggesting. You understand? That's not going to produce anything.
Okay. First of all, this monogamy and love marriage and everything like that has led to a great amount of dysgenics. You did a horrible, horrible job at breeding the human race. And you know that I'm coupling this with eugenics, and I'm not the first person to do that. All of the
Look, it doesn't matter.
I know, but I'm not the first person to do that.
It
But
doesn't matter if you're
you're
the first
actively
person. We have pedophiles. We've had pedophiles through the centuries. Are we
okay.
going to make humans better than examples of the animal kingdom? Huh? Are we?
No, okay.
I'm talking
about using selective breeding to breed the new man, not animal kingdom. So
Well, I'm not going for that. Okay, I'm not going for that because I don't believe we're viruses in a petri dish, or
I
we're
didn't say
gonna,
so what
you
why
understand what I'm
not you
saying?
okay, if you're going to do scientific breeding, you need to think scientifically.
I'm not into scientific breeding.
Okay,
I'm
well I
into
am.
promoting a society where the mom and the father is in the home, bringing up their child. They have commitment. They stay in it. They're on top of it. And when this person comes to adulthood, they can decide how much they want to rebel against this or not, and decide and evaluate as an adult with a mature adult mind their choice is what they're going to do with their life. Okay.
Okay. Well, I hate that I had to go through that.
Well, okay. I think you're messed up, but okay. Okay.
Okay, a lot of people think like this.
Well, all the more reason that the nuclear family needs to be promoted, right? You're really showing me how far this society has gone. If those statistics you're giving me are right, that all these people actually think this is okay, and we're going to go to that. That's exactly why I'm telling everybody to take their kids out of school. There's no reason anybody is sending their kids to public school unless they just can't afford to take their kids out.
No, that's a lie. A lot of people like what's being taught.
Well, good. I don't. And I think if white people want a future, if Western civilization wants a future, they need to get off this thing of just letting people with your agenda infect their kids' minds at a younger and younger age. This is insanity. It's absolute insanity what you're advocating.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do
I'm
about
taking
it.
the side of white Muslim woman.
Huh? Oh,
I'm
hi,
taking your
Sam. How are
side. Hey,
you?
how you doing? I'm
How
taking
are
your
you?
side in this argument for sure.
Who's this? Who's this?
Oh,
I'm
Sam is on?
Sam from Haifa.
Uh-huh. Sam?
Haifa.
Yeah, I'm from Haifa.
Oh, you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know me at all from Claire's streams, or this is the first time you've come across me?
I've been on her channel a few times, more than a few times. Yeah.
Actually, well, since you're here, I knew you were talking about this, and we were talking about sex for a long time, and we were talking about sex last time, and
Uh-huh.
it's sex. So, if you don't mind, I would like to change the subject because you're here, and it's one of my favorite subjects. I want to know, have you heard of the Noahide laws?
Of course I have.
Okay, what's your opinion on them?
I support them.
You support the Noahide laws. White Muslim woman, do you know what the Noahide laws are?
Claire
Let me
knows.
look it up. Let me look it up real fast on the
Claire
phone
knows
here.
very much about what the Noahide laws are. She's been a guest on John Gishel's channel, and he promotes the Noahide laws, and she actually believes they're very, common sense and
Yeah, but
very.
under secular Quranism, the laws against idolatry and blasphemy are not. There are no laws against idolatry or blasphemy.
All right, well, so the majority of them that are important to maintaining a balanced, civilized society, she supports.
Okay, but that's very important. Idolatry and blasphemy is if you allow idolatry and blasphemy, it's just going to spread and spread and spread, and you're going to lose your Noahide state or your secular Quranic state.
I'm not an activist for the Noahide laws. I won't promote them. I believe that they are worth following for non-Jews in order to keep themselves from straying in all sorts of directions. Instead of Christianity, which has failed. Christianity, I mean, white Muslim woman will tell you that Christianity has failed in America. And so you need, if she wants to,
because it allows idolatry and blasphemy. That's why it failed.
Well, if she wants to replace it with Islam, fine by me. Anything's better than. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was there on the edge of when things really started falling apart in America culturally, and basically with the values and the spirit that I started feeling was that began to degenerate in America. I left before it really started going downhill. But yeah, I mean, I seeing it what's happening from afar. Sure, why not? Anything's better. I mean, Claire would agree. I don't know if Claire is in here. She's muted. Anything's better than what we have now. That's you know,
Okay.
and she's very eloquent in describing it. And I'm in agreement with Claire, and I'm in agreement with the American white Muslim woman in America. When it comes to trying to get the reins, get control of the reins, because the horses have run wild. They're out of control. They're like what Claire said. There are no boundaries. The fences have been all kicked over, and people are running wild, doing whatever the hell they want. And
Well,
yeah,
there's nothing you can do about it, and I'll tell you why. And that's because most people who are homophobes, most, not all, of course, most people who are homophobes on the internet and make, really, really negative statements, and, they hide their identity. Why do they hide their identity? They hide their identity because there's less of you than you think there are, and the pressure against you is very great. So
right.
you're in a really bad position. You're in no position to change
No, no,
society.
no, 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 no. I'm not in any position. True, I'll agree. But the ultimate equalizer is what's looming in the on the horizon and fast approaching, and this will ruin your day with your agenda very soon. There
Yeah, we're
will be
only going to grow in power. And let me tell you something. I
no,
don't
no,
like when. Mhm.
no, there will be pandemonium and bedlam in America very soon, and the new age, gay, progressive agendas will be thrown by the wayside out of necessity, because the country will be in utter chaos, financially and economically, whereby people will have no patience for these kinds of social issues or gender issues or
No, no, just
you know,
because.
gender equality and all that will go out the window, because people will be starving, and they won't be paying any mind to these kinds of fringe issues, which are
It's
supposedly
not fringe.
mainstream now.
It's
They are
not
fringe.
fringe.
It's not
No, they're
mainstream.
not
It's
fringe.
fringe.
It is fringe. It's all over the
When,
TV.
when you will be like Venezuela, searching out for food in the zoos,
There's no logical step between those two.
slaughtering the gorillas and the monkeys for meat. Nobody will be concerned about gender issues or LGBTQ P issues, or they won't be molesting the animals sexually. They will be slaughtering them for food.
Look, the only
That's
you're equating you're
that's where
equating
America's headed.
you're equating
That's where America's headed.
transgenderism with apocalypticism for no other reason than because your religion says so. There's no logical reason
No, no, no.
to connect.
Sodom and Gomorrah and the days of Noah's flood, the generation of Noah's flood, has brought us to this place where there will be economic and financial collapse as a result
Not based on gender equality
as,
stuff.
as a result of the spiritual impurity and imbalance that has been
Yeah,
tipped over, that has been
that's really
by these
you're
actions that are anti-God, anti-normalcy, anti-everything that is good and wholesome and decent. When
yeah,
you
very
do these
logical,
things, you
rational.
will face God's. You are about to face God's judgment. America
Wow,
will be
this
in
is
total pandemonium, including Canada.
nothing more rational or logical
No, 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 no.
about what you're going through right now. This is totally based in logic, I
It's
know, and
100%
rationalism.
based in logic. There will be an economic collapse very
Nothing. This is
soon.
not based in
There will
logic.
be financial collapse very soon. The banking systems will freeze. The credit system will freeze. Americans will be at their wits'
If
end. They
that
will
happens,
be.
it has nothing to do with LGBTQ.
Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely. It's God's judgment. It's the correction. And Muslim
Well,
woman
no.
back me up, and Claire will back me up on that. All
Okay.
right.
How about the reality backs you up? Let's wait for that.
The reality is that when you screw children in the ass and you think that that's not,
We're okay. We're
they're
not.
gonna
I'm not. Nobody's promoting that. Nobody's
yeah, well,
promoting that. So
that's what you have with the whatchamacallem, drag queen story time and
No,
and,
that's not
and,
having sex with
and
children. That's not
Satanism in grade schools.
that's not having sex with
Satanism in
children.
grade
So
schools.
what if there's a
Yeah, no,
Satanist in grade
that's
schools?
grooming them. That's sexualizing them, and you
That's
have
not
pedophiles
sexualizing.
grooming
Transvestite has
children
nothing to do
in
with.
grade
You could
school.
be a transsexualism has nothing to do with just like sex. Transsexualism is just
I know
changing
where
your
you want to
gender.
take this. There is no rationale to your argument making. This is taking everything that was absolutely taboo and forbidden, absolutely criminal in the eyes of most people in the world, just a few years ago, and trying to normalize it. It's not, playing around with children, with drag queens
We're
and
not,
transgender. No. This is not just a no go. This is not just where the line gets drawn. This is where you'll when the shit hits the fan, you'll find people taking out all of their aggression on you people that are trying to molest their children and rape
we're
their
not trying
children.
to molest your children, so can you drop it?
It is molestation. It's mental.
It is not. You're a
psychological
liar.
molestation.
You're a liar. You're a
Molestation.
total
It is
liar. Oh my God, this is
molestation.
retarded. You're a retarded person. You're
All
just
right.
you're
Well,
stupid.
maybe you are the sick pedo that will get shot in the
I'm not
head
a pedo. I'm not a pedo.
when you will get the WROL, the rule without law, and you'll have people with guns roaming the streets of every city in America. And anyone that's deviant enough to come up to their children and tell them drag queen story time and take them to strip clubs, you'll get shot in the balls. You'll have your balls shot off. Right now, it's restrained. Right now, Americans are still playing along.
Let me tell you my prophecy, and that is that I hate. You know what I hate? When people say peak globo homo. We are nowhere near peak. We are nowhere near peak. We have a lot further to go before we reach peak. The only thing is staying.
What the hell are you talking about peak? Any minute now, with the interest rates being raised, you'll get a banking crisis and a credit freeze in America. All right. Now the experts, all the analysts, and all the pundits are saying within months. It's been this way for a while now. All right, this is an illusion of reality. It will hit you out of left field, like a bat in the back of the head, and then America will be upside down, living in a total pandemonium, total bedlam, and it's every man for himself. There's no security, no cops, no government, nothing. And then LGBTQ goes out the window, and all of your gripes and grievances and agendas goes out the window. Nobody cares. Nobody will care. Nobody will. No, that's what's headed. That's what's headed your way. That's what's coming. I'm just giving you fair. I'm just giving you fair warning. This is not scaremongering. Don't be scared. Just live your life, live your routine, and see what happens. All right, I'm just giving you fair warning.
This is your prophecy mumbo jumbo.
I'm telling you, this is a guarantee. This is not prophecy mumbo jumbo. This is a guarantee.
Everyone has always predicted the collapse of the financial systems over and over and over.
Well, it's been a long process that's been taking a long time. It's a step by step. It's devolving. It's just like America's society is degenerating. The financial systems are decaying and eroding and degenerating. It goes hand in hand. I mean, you can ask Claire. I want Claire's input. Where's Claire? I haven't heard her sexy British accent. Come on, Claire. Give it to us.
Hello. I'm sorry, I was sort of distracted. What was the question?
I'm saying that all of this, the perversion that's trying to be normalized, will be stopped instantly once we have the long anticipated global financial collapse. This is if people are familiar with Cliff High and his analysis and his predictive programming, his data-based predictive programming, he went in depth into this. And he said that these fringe people trying to normalize all these sexual perversions and this bent, twisted, deviant behavior will be totally ignored. And if they try to make themselves what's the word? A current or if they try to make themselves an issue, a subject, a topic of interest, that nobody will care, and they will be swept aside violently even Nobody will pay attention to these people. People will
Oh,
be
no, you mean when law and order breaks down?
yeah.
That's what
When
you
law
mean.
and order breaks down, I mean, it makes comments. It's just logical sense, you know.
Well,
All
feminism
these
will be out the window.
Yeah, all of it will be gone. I mean, it will be a dog eat dog and a rough Mad Max type of survival mode that people will be forced to get into. Nobody will be concerned about social issues like LGBTQ plus P plus B plus whatever, you know, or feminism. I mean, all of that will go bye bye by force, the hard way.
Because
That's
society will revert to, whoever is the strongest and smartest, and they're not going to, and they will do what they need to do by
I mean, there
force.
won't be resources. People will be scrambling and sort of struggling and with one another for resources. I mean, supply chains are already becoming strained, and there are
Yep.
also limitations on certain types of products. And these are just the first initial warnings of what's to come. I mean, the illusion of stability, the illusion of normalcy, the illusion of reliability and on supply chains and on food being in the stores, that can go out the window really quick, just the same way as it did in Venezuela. I mean, and it will catch people by surprise. When we have a credit freeze, and it will be in the Western world, it will also affect Europe. When you have it in Europe and when you have it in North America, Canada, United States, that will be like shell shock. That will be trauma. I mean, that will really challenge people and the city people especially. And that's a guarantee now. That's not even speculation. That with what's happening now, and the trying to maintain the illusion of normalcy and stability in the markets, that's all of the analysts and all of the economists that are well known are not just warning that this is a guarantee and it's coming. There's a consensus here, even amongst the ones that like Warren Buffett and all the ones that and all the other big hotshots. They're saying Elon Musk and all these people are saying this is what's coming, whether we like it or not. We will reach a point when the interest rates are too high, and the inflation is too high, and they can't balance things out. There will be a credit freeze in the banking system. There will be some sort of event that once things get thrown so off balance, and it's already there. We're already in the initial stages of it. We're already in it. Now it's only a matter of time. And
Yeah,
so
and the only way to stop it is to say, look, this is the problem. So, I mean, all these, well, men hating men who hate feminists who say, well, that's a time when feminism will go out the window because all these women living on their own will have no protector, blah, blah, blah. And I guess that is a scenario that you are painting
of
of.
course, all the easy domestic office jobs and the jobs that the occupations that women basically
Bean
fill.
counting and pen pushing and
No,
office
a lot of that will not be necessary. There will be just
they're
like
not necessary now. They're parasitical.
yeah. Well, it's just going to be very I'd say basic or a skeletal. It'll be just like you know the framework of just survival and subsistence, and it won't happen overnight. Things will not devolve that quickly overnight, but there will be a systems shock. There will be trauma, and then you'll have a lot of crime on your hands, and then you'll have a lot of vigilantes and a lot of people. In the cities there will be much more bedlam. In the country there'll be a vigilantism. There'll be militias. This has been predicted for a very long time, and it's been put into place. Basically, the mindsets of the people in the country is already kind of galvanized, knowing that they will have to be like homesteaders, feeding themselves, feeding their communities. and they'll have to fend off people from the cities. That there'll be like a zombie apocalypse if people,
Well,
escape.
actually, what you said about famine and whatever. I mean, I was reading one of I don't know if you've heard of Pearl S. Buck, but she's this American woman who wrote about China because her parents were Christian missionaries, and the things she described were kind of so when China had a famine, there would be just people who obviously were escaping from their famine-ridden towns and cities, and they would swarm places like, I mean, she described it that they were locusts. They would eat everything in sight,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then pass through and go on to somewhere else. So I'm just saying, I'm sort of saying, even if you do have a log cabin in the country, it won't stop these swarms of hungry humans leaving the cities after they've run out of stuff to eat in the cities from
Well,
going
what you
on to
call
the
the
country.
zombie apocalypse movies are all about, like that Brad Pitt movie, World War Z. That's foreshadowing basically what you just described. And that's why the country people are armed to the teeth. I mean, it's going to be terrifying and it's going to be tragic, but a lot of the desperate city people are going to get mowed down. A lot of them are going to get mowed down. Like zombie, Jeeper creepers, like locusts. That's what the zombie movies and horror movies are all about. It's insinuating, it's implying that when you'll have masses of desperate dying people swarming the countryside, a lot of people will end up getting shot dead. Because these country people aren't playing games. They're not affected like the city people. It's like the two different Americas. You have the two different camps in America, and the city people are condemned. Once this happens, the majority of the city people are condemned. And I've put up a lot of videos with Ray Dalio saying that a majority of Americans will try every way possible to escape the country once you have this event take place. There'll be like an exodus.
Mexico.
Yeah, anywhere. Canada, Mexico, but all these countries also will be affected. But there will be a mass exodus. Now, this is what I'm talking about: the will of God forcing the Jews to leave everywhere they exist and live in the exile, in the galus, in the galut, in the diaspora. They will be leaving out of necessity and out of fear and panic, and out of agony and having lost everything. That there will be nothing keeping them in the big cities. The big cities will be evacuated. So there are, like, New York is already being slowly evacuated. I mean, the statistics of New Yorkers leaving the city for Florida now have reached somewhere in the area of around 70 to 80,000 people per year leaving the city going to Florida. And this has been for a good 10 or more years.
Why Florida? Because it's warm there?
No, because of the politics, because of DeSantis.
Trump's home state is Florida.
And they're more conservative. It's a conservative state, and no state taxes and less taxes. And so, yeah, they take their businesses down there. Mm-hmm. That's where they go to live. It's New York is slowly being emptied, just like San Francisco is being emptied. A lot of the big cities are being emptied, but so be it. That's supposedly the free market. That's what they want to still call a free market. It's just out of necessity that they're leaving. But when you have the big major event take place, you'll have people wanting to flee the country altogether out of fear for their lives. And the Jews will catch a lot of the flack. They already are catching a lot of the flack. If fingers are being pointed at them because they're so conspicuous in government and economics and Wall Street and DC. And so they'll catch a lot of the flack, a lot of the blame, and this is God's will to force them to leave. If they don't leave, they'll be killed, along with a lot of other people in the big cities that'll end up becoming victims. This is not doom and gloom prophecy. This is just reality. It's just the way it's going to go down. I mean, when the monetary system freezes up and fails, it's pandemonium, it's chaos, it's bedlam, it's guaranteed. Now, the talk has been going on for years upon years, and this is how God willed it in order to give people fair warning and to give people a clear understanding of what they are asking for, what they they refuse to buy a clue and to believe and to act. So fair warning has been given for a very long time. This is how the creator operates. So it's not going to be that much of a surprise. It's going to catch a lot of people unprepared, but it's not as if they were not told and they were not given this information, and as if they were not made aware. They just willfully ignored it. They pretended like it would never happen. They live in their bubbles, in their comfort zones, and all of that is going by very soon. Together with all of the crazy nonsense that days of Noah and days of the flood and Sodom and Gomorrah time, that's going away out of necessity as well. I hope I made myself clear. Does that make sense, Claire?
Yes. Somebody was saying in the chat that you say this.
What?
Every time you appear. You say this every time you appear.
Yeah, well, it's fair warning. I mean, this is going to be a fundamental to everyone's lives. This is going to affect the whole entire globe. Nobody is getting away from this. There's no talking your way out of it, and there's no getting out of it. Period. Everyone will have to face this reality soon. I mean, that's why I'm saying, if you want to harp on social issues as a distraction, if you want to harp on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, for fuck's sake, my brother's watching that crap all day, and that's a distraction.
Well, what does he say? What does he say?
I mean, it's entertainment. It's sensationalism. It's voyeurism.
But
I'm not
has he
watching
made
that.
any comment about it that you feel you could pass on to us?
Oh, what, my brother, or on what?
Your brother's views on the Amber Heard.
Amber Heard and all this. Johnny Depp looks like he's got the winning hand here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she looks like she's clearly lying and is obviously
manipulated. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. From what I gather, yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's a distraction. I mean, that's just like fluff, I mean, what about paying attention to everything else that's happening? I mean, I agree with Bruno here that it's become such a repetitive sort of like fear porn talking point about financial collapse, economic collapse. It's been ongoing for since 2008. And that's about 14 years, So it's I'm fatigued by it. I've been following it for the longest time. I can't deny that I'm not fatigued by following this kind of expectation and information, but it will arrive. I mean, we're on the cusp of it now, because we can see supply chains breaking down. We can see the inflation. We can see this puppet president that's been forced and implanted for a reason, to be the fall guy or to be the buffer, another distraction between Yeah, go ahead.
But to change the situation, then I guess they'll have to say, well, we're very sorry. We made a mistake. We're gonna do things differently from now on.
Who's gonna make who's gonna say what? The government?
I mean, I suppose, if you're going the wrong way, you stop and turn. What, you turn?
No, this is an unstoppable process. This is an unstoppable event. There's too much momentum. This is too big. This is too colossal. It cannot be turned around anymore. You can ask economists like Peter Schiff that there's no taking this back. There's no unwinding this. There's no fixing this. This is going to have to happen. There's no way to. Money printing is not going to stop this. Trying to cut on expenses and budgets, that's not going to stop.
You just have to change the entire way you govern your country.
Well, it's too late, Claire. I mean, they've put this event into motion, and there is no reversing it. Honestly, it's just too big. It's too It's too massive. I mean, they want a reset. They want this global reset. These globalists in Davos, World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, all these lunatics. and what's his name, the transhumanist Israeli gay guy, Noah Harari,
Noah
that
Harari.
character, and yeah, lunatic. And so it's unstoppable. I mean, it's been put into motion. It's just like the force of gravity that cannot be fought against. You cannot keep this another analogy. You cannot keep this sort of like blow up ball underwater. You know, this air-filled balloon underwater forever. It's going to eventually have to come up for air. You know, after having been kept held down. You know, and no gay innuendos here, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, so yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, I've been following this long enough to know that this is not speculation. This is just hard reality, hard truth. And the fact that you've got like this illusion of calm and an illusion of stability and routine is very misleading, because it will happen. I mean, it's already been put into motion. You can see also that what's happening now in Pakistan, and China's gone into recession, and India's. All these countries are having issues. And now you heard about the Iranians confiscating 2 Greek oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, and the Americans confiscated a Russian oil tanker filled with Iranian gas, and they have it in port somewhere in Greece. More tit for tat, and the Chinese conducted missile tests. They almost shot down a commercial airliner that had to make emergency maneuvers and like dodge a missile. They had to make a 90-degree turn, an emergency 90. Imagine being in the plane when that happened. And
what happened at a 90-degree turn?
The Chinese conducted a submarine missile test, and they almost hit a commercial airliner. It was in the trajectory of a commercial airliner. The commercial airliner was given emergency audio radio instructions to bank a right, and make a sharp right turn, in order to avoid going into this missile or the area of this missile fire.
Do you know where it was and which airline it was?
It was in the South China Seas. I have it on Zero Hedge. Give me a second, I'll find it for you. It's the top headline here. Yeah, give me a minute. Texas. Okay. Sharp decline Russian exports. Because no, not that. Just give me a second. I found it here. They always have headlines on Zero Hedge updates here. Mysterious South China Sea missile launch came dangerously close to commercial airliner. They were over the South China Sea and were issued a last-minute hectic call from air traffic control. Turn left, 90 degrees immediately. It wasn't right. It was left. So you want me to put up this article?
Here. That would be great.
Yeah, give me a minute here.
Or give me the link, and I'll post it.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat. You can post it.
Thank you.
I forget which airline is it. A U.S.-based airline, Allegiant Air, and a veteran of the U.S. Navy, Naval Submarine Community. A commercial airliner. They have video footage also. It was a missile submarine launch with very little regard to
more.
Cathay Pacific.
Well, I suppose in a way it's. Oh right, yes, I know that. It's a Hong Kong. Airline.
Right. They had to make an emergency maneuver. You're reading the article?
I'm actually posting it in a chat so people can. I think we get the idea. I wanted to know what airline it was, and you said Cathay Pacific.
They have a picture of that.
777.
Yeah. And Biden is provoking the Russians again by approving long-range rockets, MLRS artillery. shipments to Ukraine, and Russia warns that's crossing a red line. Ukraine forces in retreat. Well, there's things happening on many fronts in many theaters, and what's happening with the economy and the economics behind the scenes is very intriguing, because in June, just around the corner, you're going to have another 50 basis point rate hike, and and so you have your YouTube commentators and economic analysts and economists saying, like Gregory Mannarino saying, we'll have a credit freeze eventually once the 10-year interest rate yield settles above 3% and goes into like 3.2, 3.3. That's going to be like the kick in the pants. Eventually, things will freeze up. I mean, because they're trying to fight inflation, and by raising these rates incrementally, it's still not going to fight inflation, but it will cause a stock market crash. I mean, they can't raise these interest rates too much higher. They're trying to juggle all these balls in the air, and it's too massive, it's too heavy. There's too much debt. There's too much baggage. There's too much weight that they have to, keep pushing and juggling. There's all this now. This is speculation on whether they've lost control or not, whether they can still maintain the illusion of some stability and some routine or not. But things around the edges in America are definitely falling apart. I don't know about in England, in London, but tell me. I think that I read some articles about some emergency measures in London. No, when it comes to the pharmacies and the supermarkets now. Am I right on this? Or this is what I'm hearing. Or am I exaggerating? Or things are stable there, Claire, in
I
London?
haven't been to the supermarket for ages because I get my groceries delivered.
Oh, all right, all right. Anyway, but things are definitely no longer. It's no longer a. It's we've left Kansas. We're no Dorothy's no longer in Kansas. She's on her way to the land of Oz, for sure. She's up there in that. She's up there in that whirlwind, in her
Yeah.
home. Having been knocked out on her bed, and she's on her way to the land of Oz. Yeah.
It's an allegory, apparently. I read there's a Wikipedia entry on the story of the Wizard of Oz, and that the Tin Man, the Tin
Yeah,
Man was,
it's all economics. It's from the 30s about the gold standard and silver and economics and tangible money and commodity based exchanges and currency. It's all in there. About also the characters, the cowardly lion and the straw man and the Tin Man. And her slippers. They all have connotations to economic, intrigues about in the 30s, also regarding the gold standard and what was happening with the economic policies. Keynesianism was beginning to take form as well. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. But the allegory that I meant to use was that, the bigger picture, the sort of on the grand scale, culturally and socially, not just economically, Dorothy's left Kansas. Kansas has gone bye-bye, just like in the movie The Matrix. Kansas has gone bye-bye. We're no longer in Kansas, So, I mean, as far as all of all these distractions, all of these issues that seem to be, important now, they are on their way to becoming totally irrelevant and unimportant. That's why I'm not concerned about them. I find them to be appalling. I find it to be very distressing that we've reached this point in Western society, but I'm not that concerned. I'm not worried about it. I know the equalizer will be the total chaos and bedlam and pandemonium that will make these issues completely moot and irrelevant. And that I can guarantee. I'm not speculating. I'm not guessing. I listen to Cliff High. I'm not in agreement with him 100%. Cliff High, you find him on BitChute, and you used to find him on YouTube, but he gets a lot of predictions very accurate as far as. Oh, he's also saying that a lot of Claire. Where is this posted, to Odyssey or to YouTube?
This is on YouTube,
Oh, so,
and then the few comments addressed to you about what they're doing in the UK about bailing out, people, electricity and stuff. That Jay Walker's posted for you.
oh, really? I haven't seen. I'm in the private chat. I'll go look at the YouTube. Give me a second. But seriously, I'm saying, as far as what Cliff High has to say, and since you're on YouTube, I'll just I'll imply it. I'll give sort of like a clue as to what I'm talking about. There will be a lot of spite and resentment coming from the masses towards the engineers and the puppet masters when there's a full awakening as to the deadly effects and the lethal effects of the jabs. I mean, can we say jabs? We're not,
I
or is
think
that
so.
okay?
Yes.
All right. All right.
You're
So
not
that's
expressing an opinion about it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the way. That's where I'm taking it. I mean, if you want chaos and bedlam, that's also something that's guaranteed. I mean, people are really annoyed and pissed off, and not just annoyed; they are enraged with blood curdling, violent rage at having been poisoned, and having their lives cut short, and
Do they
having their
really think so? I mean, they're not exactly dropping like flies, even though we get, I guess,
yeah. It's not. It's
reports
not
that
just. It's not. It's not just from the adverse reactions. I mean, people know that it's these are sterilants. They've been sterilized. I mean, these
mm,
shots have made people sterile and infertile. These are population control projects and slow kill weapons. Where did Jay Walker post? What's that secular corner? Where does
in the chat on the YouTube thing
raising rates will
in
stop
the live
spending
chat.
on the over borrowed middle class? Okay.
Mm.
Sam is the same, correct as energy. Sam, government giving 500 euro bailout to everyone for electricity in England. Okay. Oh, that's in Europe. No, in Europe. Okay. £400 for workers, 1,150 pounds for unemployed. Tell Sam above. Okay, yeah. So I'm sure the governments over there in Europe are trying to bail out, save their own asses and keep the people from rioting and from having social chaos and disorder by means of what happened in the United
Oh,
States
yes,
as well with
just yeah. But I mean, why
what
is
do you
it
call it, stipends and all this, you know subsidies and stipends and all this. I'm sure, yeah, it's maintaining some level of security for now. But Europe is also deep in the hole as far as their banking systems are concerned. They're also having a hard time juggling all the different elements to keep their illusion of stability going. One day, soon. I mean, it will. What did Jay Walker say? Mexicans will survive, blacks will fall apart, whites will unite, left and right, liberals will die. Okay, so he's pretty much in agreement about what will happen when we have, without rule of law, when we're in the SHTF scenarios that everybody's been talking about for the longest time. And USA is the subprime mortgage, morally bankrupt, ready to import. All right, the credit system has to collapse. It's Baltimore times a million. It looks like me and Jay are on the same page as far as the economics and the expectations and the what to look forward to. The
mm,
projections. I'm in agreement with him on those things. Obviously, I'm not in agreement on Jeebus, but he's a Christian. He wants to be a Christian. Fine. I don't
I
agree
do
with
think he believes in it.
as
Can I
far
ask
as
you a question?
economics are concerned, I seem to be on the same page as Jay. And all of the measures that are being taken now to still maintain a level of stability or an illusion of stability. How long can that be maintained? How long can the government give $500 bailouts for everyone for security for electricity? No, for electricity, so that the whole we don't have face civilizational collapse or subsidies for workers in England. How long can they keep printing money? I mean, the Europeans are far more limited in their ability to extend their credit. Can you hear me, Claire? Claire?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Sorry, I
All
muted
right.
myself.
So,
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I wanted to ask a quick question from Sam for a minute here
yeah,
before it all
no
goes.
problem. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What do you suggest to do with our cash?
Oh, your cash money? I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, at this point, you should start hoarding food. You should start hoarding, supplies of a long shelf life, canned foods and dried foods, and rice and pasta and flour. And don't waste your time with. Honestly, I mean, people always say gold and silver. If you have a lot of savings and excess, cash in the bank. But at this point, for the average middle class person and lower middle class, and most people in America don't have more than $5,000 in savings in the bank. That's like even asking for too much from most middle class families. They don't have a lot of money saved up in the bank. People are also on the edge, but with whatever savings that you have and you can afford to put money aside for food, for a long shelf life, long lasting, food supplies. Save it, bunker it, store it. I mean, you remember that movie with Viggo Mortensen, The Road, the really dystopian end times kind of movie about starvation and after a great calamity, and he has to go on the road with his son. His wife goes nuts. That's what's her name from the South African model, the really pretty tall South African model, Charlene Theron, Charlize Theron, Charlize Theron. That's a very dark movie. I saw that movie and I got very depressed at the end of it. It's an entertaining movie, but it's very depressing because it involves cannibalism in there. I mean, I don't think it's gonna. Hopefully, it's not going to get that bad. It's not going to get reduced to those levels, but it can in the situations of starvation. So I don't, it won't. I don't believe it'll be a nuclear war or a nuclear fallout or radiation or something that severe. Or I don't even believe it's going to be cyber attacks or electromagnetic pulses where everything gets shut down. I think it's going to be more financial than anything else. It's a free markets will fall, and credit systems will freeze. Bank accounts will be confiscated. There'll be runs
That's
on
the
the
thing,
banks.
right? Isn't it? It's confiscating bank accounts. We saw that up in Canada with the truckers and stuff.
Right.
What
That's the first
I'm
taste of
just
that. Yeah.
I'm just not sure what someone is supposed to do if they have a little bit of money, because you would want to keep that if you actually, still
Yeah,
have
well, they're limiting people's ability to withdraw cash money in large
Right.
amounts.
right.
This has been the case for the longest time now. They also have make you fill out forms, and they start doing investigations on you and asking
Right.
you why you want this money. And so the best way to really make your money work for you in these kinds of in this kind of scenario is really, I mean, it sounds it's no longer wacky. It's no longer alarmist or fatalistic to say this. Buy guns, buy ammo, buy food, have water, and if you can, get the hell out of the cities. But if you're restricted to living in the cities, Try just secure a good supplies, like a month's worth of food and water, and have a gun and have ammunition.
Okay,
'Cause you,
so you're kind of advocating getting off the grid and
if you can in the
yeah, get
city,
off the
it's
grid
hard
if
to
you
do that.
can, and then
You have people
kind
that
of
do this.
stockpile survivalist like. Okay,
Yeah, but you have preppers that have done this in many states that they have trailers out in the woods, in the countries, in the mountains, in Kentucky and Texas and Alabama and Tennessee, and Virginia and all these mountain states. North Carolina. There are a lot of preppers all over America. You have them in the Midwest, in the Southwest, in the Northwest. There's a lot of people that are aware that they should have this contingency plan. And it's a bunker mentality. It seems wacky and it seems off, but it's in this time, it's no longer as I'll use the word fringe. It's not fringe now. It's becoming mainstream. That people know that the big cities in America are going to turn into death traps. The same goes for Canada. With their financial systems, it's all interwoven. And I don't know what the hell Europe is going to be like, but the bank accounts in Europe are also going to get confiscated and frozen. So Europe is going to be up shit's creek without a paddle as well.
so okay,
Yeah.
so okay, let's say you have some. I mean, not a lot of cash. Let's say you have enough cash to maybe pay your taxes on your home for 2 years. All right.
You want to pay taxes in advance? Is that it?
No, you can't do that here. But I'm saying is, let's say that's about how much money you have. So if you get rid of the cash as an asset, it's pretty hard to flip it back into cash to pay your house taxes. You get what I'm saying? I'm not seeing where you can possibly
Well, you have to
money.
budget. Yeah, I mean, you don't use all of it. I mean, if you want to feel safe, hold some of it in cash. The cash will. From all the analysts that I've listened to, they said that during the transition period, when we'll have a credit freeze and bank accounts will not be accessible, that cash on hand will be accepted. It will be a recognizable form of transaction that will be accepted for a certain amount of time, maybe up to a month. That until you get a system reset. Then you'll go to central bank digital currencies or different types of digital currencies, where you'll get your account on your phone. This is what the central banks are planning. They're planning full spectrum control by way of central bank digital currencies and replacing the commercial banks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so they're replacing the currency. So my question is, if you're let's say you're stuck in you have a house and you have to pay your taxes on it, right?
Okay.
And you're in a place that has kind of a freeze on how much they can raise your taxes every year. So you need to be, so if the currency goes real crazy, they're stuck with having to keep with that unless they change the law that they're going to take
that will be out of necessity. I mean, they won't be able to, it won't be functioning in the same sort of a way that it's functioning now. Things will be obviously reworked, and if the money goes kaput, taxes are no longer going to be paid in the same ways, and who knows what kind of social order you'll have? Who knows if the government will even be functioning in order to collect taxes? You might have emergency like whatchamacallem, the Homeland Security, but FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. Those people will be around. Taxes might not be an issue. I mean, what will be an issue is maintaining stability and keeping people from looting and trying to get a hold of crime. And that's going to be very difficult in these heavily populated, dense cities where you'll have a lot of people losing their minds because food will not be as easily accessible, because you'll have problems with food shipments coming into the cities. If credit freezes, food supplies freeze, then you know what Biden enacted as sort of like the baby formula issue was an alibi, an excuse for him to enact emergency measures whereby the government has full control of the food supplies and food shipments and supply routes, and all of a sudden, like an emergency measure was flipped, was enacted as by way of the shortages on the baby formulas. That could have been premeditated. That could have been just another step in this plan. And people didn't pay attention to that he actually implemented an emergency measure whereby the government has control of food supplies and food shipments in the United States. So that's foreshadowing something, if you ask me. I mean, I'm not a dummy. I see that as a foreshadow of what's to come.
Well,
so
I get the points on all that, but my question is a little bit more practical. Okay, if you got some cash,
buy food, buy long-lasting.
Listen to my question. Listen to my question.
Go ahead.
If you don't trust the banks anymore and you want to take the cash out of the banks, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
You take the cash out. You have the problem where you're going to put it. So maybe you put it into something else, or what you're going to do. Or you're going to put in a thermos in your backyard, say. But if they're going to go to digital money, all of a sudden, that cash is going to be declared useless.
Right.
So there's nowhere to put your cash to put it back into cash to pay the taxes on your home. If you don't pay the taxes on your home,
who the hell's going to be paying taxes in a crisis mode of Mad Max world, where you're not going to have tax collection and you're not going to have government functioning normally? That's not going to be a concern, in my opinion. You got to think long term, and you got to think ahead.
Well, that's when it comes up. That's when it comes. Okay, that's when the scenario comes out all the way into that. But the time before that, some of this stuff is gonna start going. This mess with the banks is a big concern of mine.
I mean, if you get bank shutdowns, you're not going to have tax collectors functioning in a normal way, expecting to harvest taxes from the citizenry. You're going to have a bottom line, a sort of like a very basic subsistence reality there, where governments will be in emergency modes. You're not going to have taxes being collected. How the hell is the IRS going to collect taxes if banks are frozen, if bank accounts are frozen, if the credit system's frozen? Forget about the tax collection. That's not going to be an issue. I mean, you got to put two and two together. The main concern is that use your savings for security, as far as food and personal security. Learn how to fire a weapon and have ammunition. This is what has been a repetitive repeat message for years now from the prepper community. And it's being taken more seriously because of what we are seeing in America. That's why they're having all of these shootings, also as an attempt to take away the Second Amendment and to take away gun rights and to keep people defenseless. But while get it while you can. I mean, I know people in the neighborhoods where I grew up in Brooklyn, they all have guns now. I've seen my mother's friends, take pictures of their Glocks and their Berettas, whatever, not Berettas, but their handguns. They have a lot of handguns now. They have a lot of rifles and they're packed and loaded. They're packing heat. And these are stay-at-home moms in Brooklyn. And so they're taking it seriously because crime is also becoming more problematic there. That's what I always recommended to people that I talk to online. And that's what a lot of them did. They went out and bought handguns and ammunition and long shelf life food supplies. That's the number one priority. And do it as fast as you can and get as much as you can, because I don't want to sound like I'm fear mongering. This is the kind of language that's been used for years now. But it's not baseless. It's based on a lot of reality that's coming to light. It's bubbling up to the surface. It's becoming more convincing. this kind of talk was going on 10 years ago, even 12 years ago, even after 2008. They said if the financial system freezes, you'll have a lot of chaos and a lot of pandemonium and a lot of the police being overwhelmed, and you'll have to defend yourself and defend your families. If you get rioters, if you get all sorts of lunatics that find the opportunity to run amok and run wild and like have anarchy in the streets,
Well,
that's what's
lem-
being predicted. You know.
let's ask. Let me ask you a different question from a different angle. Let's say you have a house, right?
Yeah.
Are you thinking that people need to sell their house right
Well,
now?
the real hardcore, diehard, a bitter clinger, right wing conservative types that live in big cities, if they get the opportunity, if they find an opportunity to sell their homes and move to a rural town, that's what they do. I
Oh,
mean,
I see that. Our state is having a flight of people who have money. Yeah, they're leaving the
and they're
state.
going to the country, right, to the
Well,
rural.
they're going to well, they're either trying to find a place with a low tax base, or they're going to. I mean, some people are doing the survivalist thing and all that,
Right.
but yeah, there's a flight out of my state of
Oh
people
yeah,
leaving.
yeah. The big the big metropolitan cities in America are going to
Yeah.
be death traps.
Yeah.
Cities like New York, Chicago, and L.A.
Mhm.
Death traps. Very dangerous places to live.
Mhm. Mhm. But you think they're better off? Okay, if you have a
Yeah,
house,
they're better off in the country for sure, away from population centers for sure.
Oh, okay. So your advice would be to sell the house and and just try to get as off the grid as you can out in the rural area. Okay, so we're
I
going
mean,
back to that. Okay.
the hardcore bitter clinger sort of preppers that do that are not a what's the word I'm looking for? They're not misinformed, and they're not a you know
Oh, I don't
they're,
think they're stupid to
they're
get off the grid at all.
they're not
No.
off base. They're not
Yeah.
misdirected. They're
Right.
very sharp as far as knowing what's about to happen.
Right.
There are a lot of prepper channels that I keep track of and listen to. They give a lot more details as to what's happening around the world and all the intrigues that basically we're not that aware of, like the information I gave Claire about what's happening with the oil tankers and what this missile test. You know, this you have to go digging for this kind of news. You won't get so much of this news in the commercial mass media in America, the brainwashing, mind control media. When you see the bigger picture, you realize we are very close.
Wait a minute, Sam. It's
Yeah,
not the news media. It's the news show.
and the news show, yeah, the entertainment,
Yeah.
infotainment.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I don't watch that shit. I can't stand it. And so it's like I'm not following. I'm not even following Alex Jones that much anymore, or the alternative media. I'm sick and tired of it. It's come out of I have it coming out of my pores. All this information for years upon years. You could tell. I've digested it. I've what's the word? I've absorbed it. I've sort of like made it a part of my thought process because it's part of my expectations. Because there's a bigger picture here. Everything that I've talked about with Claire for the longest time has to do with a religious expectation for the arrival of the Jewish Messiah, for the Day of Judgment, for the Day of Wrath. And so this is a buildup, and God is very generous and very merciful, and He doesn't, surprise us. He doesn't all of a sudden pop up and say, "Here I am." I mean, that's how it's going to be. But He gives people fair warning. He gives the world fair warning, especially for monumental events as this, for like global earth-shaking events. It's a biblical thing that's happening now. and people are referring to it as biblical, and it is. I won't disagree. It is a biblical event. What's happening now? And so the best thing to do if you're an average person living in Europe and in America or wherever in the West is seriously, if you can, leave the cities, get yourself well supplied with food and water and ammunition and firearms. It's harder in Europe to do these things, but in Switzerland it's easy. I mean, the Swiss, those are like cockroaches in every nuclear war. The Swiss survive like cockroaches up in their mountains over there. That's why you have Davos over there. That's why you have the big shots over there, the World Economic Forum, and it's like a retreat, a refuge. The Vatican functions through Switzerland and their banks interacting. Switzerland is a big sort of like what do you call it? Not a castle, but a fortress.
They have an interesting. They had a funny. Their idea was that nobody would want Switzerland except as a bridge to get somewhere else.
Right.
So they put massive explosives in all their bridge infrastructure and stuff there. I was talking to a Swiss girl when my kids were younger. So their idea is if somebody attacks Switzerland, since the only one is a bridge to somewhere else, they're going to blow up all the bridges, and then no one will have any use for Switzerland. That's part of their
interesting, because when I was driving around Switzerland, you're saying a lot of those bridges are mined for demolition.
That's what she said. That was their idea, because it's a lot of mountains and stuff, and she was saying there's really nothing in Switzerland anybody really wants. So Switzerland would be interesting only as a road to another country, in other words. Right?
Interesting. Yeah,
so she said they came up with this idea, and then they're into whatever's going on. They just try to stay as neutral as they can.
But
there's no reason for anyone to come in.
Israel imitated the Swiss as far as their national defense, as far as conscription. Everybody, both men and women, get conscripted into the Swiss army for a year or two, if I'm not mistaken, both men and women. And they are all required to hold firearms, rifles in their homes. Every Swiss citizen, it's a law. They must have weapons, and they they get inspected annually. To make sure that their firearms are functioning, and they have to go to the range. Every citizen is required to carry firearms in Switzerland. So when I was in Switzerland, I used to hear in the background a lot of shooting going on at the firing ranges over there. They're constantly training. They're constantly shooting. This is their tradition. So Israel's army, Israel's Israeli Defense Forces, kind of imitated the Swiss model. That's where we get the national conscription here, and having everybody do army time and learn how to fire weapons and everything. But man, it's like this is real. I mean, it's been talked about. We've been fatigued by it, and let's be honest, we've heard this for a very long time. It's like repetitive fear porn. But there comes a time when it's actually useful, and it's actually pertinent, and it's actually relevant to the reality that we're facing now. And it's like, I got my friend over there in upstate New York, John, and his wife. They ended up storing a lot of food, and his wife saw that supply shortages, and a light bulb went off in her head, and she realized, we have to store food. So she got him on board, and they have a year's worth supply of food. And they left the city. They're in upstate. So it's do your best, do what you can. But I still have people in New York, family members, and I can't do anything to warn them. They don't want to listen. So I'm not spiteful or anything, and I'm not looking forward to their being traumatized. But they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to take this information seriously. They didn't want to believe it. They see what's happening around them. They're lying to themselves. They have their normalcy bias and their cognitive dissonance, because they live their routines, and they're ignoring the danger. But it's not. I'm not God, and I can't help them. They mock me. They talk behind my back. They ridicule me. They gossip about me, and I heard enough. So I'm not letting them do that to me anymore. So I'm not talking to them about this stuff at all. Let them have to take a big bite out of that shit cake, that shit pie. It's not my fault.
Okay. Okay, this is what I'm wrestling with here
I
a
meant to
little
say
bit.
shit,
I
shit sandwich. Yes,
yeah,
shit. Yeah, go ahead.
I can't really be allowed to be on these broadcasts if this cussing keeps going on. My
Why?
husband's gonna get because I respect my husband. This is a sort of a Muslim.
Yeah, actually, I want to
Uh,
bring. I wait. I
I
want
mean
to
I
bring
want
that
people
up.
to use. I would just like people to
Look,
use.
I want to bring that up because you did the same thing to me when I used a curse word, and it's really not fair for you to come in and impose speech
I'm not
codes. And
imposing. I'm not
yeah, you are.
imposing.
You're
I'm
yes,
saying
you
I
are.
can't be in the broadcasts much longer if
all
some
right,
of
so
this
I'll
goes
avoid
on.
it. I didn't know that. I mean, heads up. Okay, I got it.
No, it has to do with because Claire's always talking about the patriarchy. I'm in one. Okay. And
uh,
my husband doesn't want me talking to men if they're talking to me like that, and I don't want to disrespect him by getting into that. I don't care what. I mean, I'm not. It's not like a judgment thing that I think people are horrible if they're cussing, but it's kind of getting to the point where
yeah,
what am I
well,
supposed?
yes, I'll avoid the profanity and the dirty talk. But basically, I've just repeated years worth of warnings from so many different sources, and some more credible than others, some more reliable than others, some more respected than others. But the message is the same. You must do your due diligence. You must be engaged and informed, and realize that there is an agenda here, and it's undeniable. It's it is what it is. The Build Back Better, the Great Reset, the 2030 agenda. All this stuff is not make believe. This stuff is being implemented by globalist puppet masters that have the means and the resources and the money and the influence and the connections in governments to actually try to implement these plans of theirs, and they're in motion. And the average citizen cannot turn it back. They cannot stop it. They cannot petition their corrupt governments to stop it. What they can do personally is prepare themselves and their families and their friends, and get your communities online and on board. If you have people that are like-minded and think in the same way, then you can spare yourself a lot of agony of having to defend your neighborhoods or your homes. If you don't have the means of going off grid, or going into rural towns, or the peripheries of the cities where it might be less dangerous, you have to make a stand in your homes, in your communities, in your neighborhoods, because you will have looters, and you'll have a lot of insane people. You'll have a lot of city people that are homeless, or people that will be made homeless and hungry and desperate and starving. And it's going to be the equivalent of a zombie apocalypse. That's why for the longest time, there was this media conditioning and movies in Hollywood that were trying to condition people to zombies, killing zombies and masses of zombies coming at you. It was all an inference to this coming cycle, or this coming process, or this coming crescendo. This peak, as Bruno, as Vincent mentioned it. It's not 100% predictable.
We're not in peak. What I said is that we're not in peak. This has to go a lot farther. I mean, Globo Homo has a lot further to go. It's not going to collapse right now. I mean, we have to get into like transhumanism and lots of other kinds of things.
Who knows? I mean, who knows where we stand as far as the economics and the markets, and the ability of these scammers and thieves known as bankers or banksters, how long they can keep all this these moving parts working. how long they can keep the balls juggled in the air. It's all speculation, but it seems like it's not that too far off. You know, ow, my neck is crimped. But yeah, basically, I mean, it sounds like fear porn. It sounds like I'm fear mongering, but I'm pointing this out in a very monotone, kind of controlled, low, speech, because I'm not excited about. I'm not worried. I'm not too anxious. I'm not too scared of it, because I did my internal sort of like work as far as digesting it and contemplating it and accepting it, and just having to basically internalize it and realize that there's no way out of this. So just you make your peace with it. You need to make your peace with it, and you'll be more psychologically prepared. You'll be more emotionally prepared. You'll be sort of shielded against the trauma that a lot of people that refuse to basically accept and internalize, and then they get surprised and traumatized, and they said, we never expected this to happen. It sounded like it was far-fetched and outlandish, but all of a sudden it happens. And then who's better off? The person who has been emotionally, psychologically preparing themselves, or the ones that have casually deceived themselves and lied to themselves? I say it's better. You're better off just making peace with the fact that this thing is real. This thing is coming. It's been declared, openly declared, by even the douchebag president, or a resident in chief, whatever the hell he is. All this stuff is on the table. All of it is exposed, or even available to the public, because these crazy lunatics that call themselves globalists and puppet masters actually want this information to get out, because it's part of their the terms and conditions that they operate in. They have to give people fair warning, and they have to make it very clear to them, and it's up to us to either accept or reject this information at our own peril, and that's basically the situation, and so it's like I said, Kansas has gone bye-bye, and it's obvious to a lot of people in America that the carefree lifestyle of being having your leisure time, and having your fun time, and fun and games, and you still have some of that happening, but people are becoming a little more serious. I don't know what your take on it is. You guys are over there in America. I think people are becoming a little like what a white woman, Muslim American woman said. People are retreating from a lot of the big, populated areas in the states where you have big cities.
Yeah, if you have money, people with real money are leaving. Or if you have a super duper amount of money, maybe you keep a little something here because you want to come visit as a vacation thing. But yeah, they're clear out. Some people have it fixed. A few, there's this one accountant we knew. He set up his place away from the state years ago, in the beginnings when he was a young man, because he got some land in an area that was really cheap, that he could basically make payments on a house there and stuff, and that's where he was going to go when he retired, and that's what he did.
Uh-huh.
And so he had his investments and stuff. I mean, these are people with money. I mean, I don't have this kind of a situation. I can't get anyone to. I think going off the grid is a good idea, but I can't get anyone in my family to see it that way.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, if you can't do it very easily. So the best advice I can offer is the advice that I've received from most of the preppers that I've listened to is have large supplies of food stored and have a means of protecting it. If you can't get out of the cities, and if you can't buy a home off grid, you have people in California. This guy, this big burly guy, strong guy, Jeremiah Babe. You've heard of this guy's channel? He's in Southern California in the Palm Springs, and he's got a fancy home. He's well off. He's got rich friends and everything. He's leaving California. He wants to buy a ranch, or he wants to buy a farm in either Alabama or Kentucky. He's gone on trips with his wife and to Texas and all these southern states, Nevada, Arizona. So he's going to move to somewhere like Kentucky or Alabama. He's going to sell his fancy home in California and buy a ranch. And yeah, that's a prepper channel, and he's got good information. Jeremiah Babe, and it's not scaremongering or fearmongering or any of that. It's just a basic logic and basic analysis of what's really happening. And who's going to be caught off guard the most? I think it's going to be the bourgeois Jews living in New York and the big cities of America, because those people are the most self-delusional. Those people are the ones that want to hold on to their illusions at all costs by ignoring reality and ignoring all the warnings. But God is actually directing all of this in order to drive them to return to Israel, because this is the time of the ingathering of the exiles. This is the process that we have entered. Okay, so all of those Jews in America, Canada, Europe that mock this information, if they hear it or if they make light of it, your time is up. I'm speaking this way to my fellow Jews as well, not to just people that are oblivious, that are not Jewish. I could tell them the same thing. Your time is up. Time is up. Just like that Armageddon or Independence Day movie with Jeff Goldblum, the countdown. The countdown is coming to a head. Time is just about up, So, I highly recommend you put away food, have a means of protecting yourself and your family and your food supply. And, basically, I'm using the kind of language that Jeremiah Babe uses on his channel, JB. Get right with God.
Right.
And do your best to survive, because it will get very rough and very surreal. There have been surreal events in America. I can recall the 9/11 being a very surreal event when it happened, and for the week or 2 weeks afterwards, it was very surreal until things came back to normal. And so that's what you have to look forward to. Some parts of the country are going to be better off than others, but the big cities are the worst places to be. Those are death traps. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go to sleep, guys. So have a good night. Take it
bye,
easy.
Sam. Bye.
Take it easy.
Sam.
Bye.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
coming.
No problem. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, should we look in the chat, see what people are saying?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got going on. Oh, she fears the lashings. I think that was for me. Okay, let's see what else we got going on. Well, I don't know. I can't think of anything else to talk about.
Well, in my mind, I had a list before we started.
Uh-huh.
And but maybe you don't want me you might not want to hear me talk about the one-party state and how it would just solve a lot of the problems.
Oh, it's okay, but I do kind of have to go too. I would mind if we talked about it next time.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is that all right? Because anyway, I think this stream's getting really long, so I don't know
Yeah,
how
it is.
Okay, so if we start talking about it, I would have to leave in the middle of it. Is what I'm saying. Okay, all righty.
All right.
So, is there some other shorter subject, maybe?
Oh, yeah. What you said about getting white Muslim converts to meet each other and marry each other, and you being the kind of matchmaker, that you can set it up.
Well, I think
that was what I thought.
they have some websites that Muslims have for doing that. It's not,
but it's not for white Muslims, though.
Well, yeah.
Or just some informal, I don't know, just sort of Society of American Muslims, where you don't have to sit on the floor, you just meet in a cafe or
well, that's what Robert DeFore is trying to do. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do, pretty much. That's his idea. And that's a great idea, his idea, which I've been saying for 30 years Muslims should do, and they didn't do it. And here he shows up and starts promoting this idea, and people are starting to listen to him. So yeah, Muslims absolutely should. They should.
But I mean, a meetup's been around for quite a few years now. This website that allows you to start your groups and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know if it would. I don't know if that would work here or not. We keep going. They had this COVID mess going on, and then I don't know. I don't know if that would work or not because I haven't looked around on Meetup for a long time. But that's an idea too. People could do.
There was something else. But it's gone out of my mind now. Oh yes, and Rob and I will be discussing secular Quranism on Sunday.
Oh, really? You're going to do it Sunday?
Well, that's what he said. So I assume it's going to be the same time that it was meant to be taking place. So I think it's 7 a.m. Eastern time. I think
7 a.m. Eastern. Wait a minute. Let me write this down.
It's 2 p.m. British.
7 a.m. Eastern. So it's 3 hours early. Let's see. Okay.
It's British. Well, I have to confirm it with him. So
7 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, you mean? Like East Coast time in the U.S.?
I believe so. He would be on that time, wouldn't he? Because
I don't know. He's Canada. I don't know.
Quebec is on the east coast of Canada, isn't it? Yes.
I think he's in Quebec. Is he in Quebec itself? No,
yes.
He's somewhere else. Oh, he is in Quebec. Oh, that's interesting. I knew he knew French and stuff. I didn't know he actually lived in Quebec. I thought he lived I thought he used to live somewhere by Windsor.
Where's Windsor?
Oh, well, it's in Canada somewhere.
Oh, right.
I don't know my Canada geography. All right. All righty.
And yes, and I think that it's still the same problem, and I did a short stream about it because I mean what he said was the zeitgeist makes it hard for. Well, I think he really meant Muslims of all colours really to support secular Quranism. Because obviously the Muslims won't be, the immigrants won't be saying, hey, let's have Sharia because, they already know that most Westerners hate Islam anyway. So they won't be seen to be supporting that. And I think Rob was basically saying white Muslims are not in the position of power that I seem to think they are in. They are, in fact, a minority within a minority. So they're not going to be suggesting anything new. And so I said I knew this member of the Canadian Nationalist Party who was a secular Quranist, and he won all the arguments because it was just so easy to say, well, if you have a problem with feminism, then do this. If law and order, do that. And he really had all the answers, and he was hated because he won all the arguments, and people wouldn't let him on just because they recognized him by name and they knew what he was going to do. And then he decided to convert to Islam, and I remember thinking to myself, it's not going to be a walk in the park, because because if you convert, you kind of come under their authority, and then if they don't like what you say, they can kick you out, and it would be, kind of.
Who's going to kick you out if you come
Well,
under
I mean,
whose authority?
a lot of these Muslims say, why didn't you convert to Islam? Come to Islam. And a lot of these Islamophobes say, why aren't you Muslim? Why, you should convert. Jay's favorite, point of, he says, you're not even Muslim. You should, show that you believe in it by converting to Islam, and deliberately misunderstanding me, because I said the whole point of secular Quranism is that you don't have to convert to Islam. You could just, consider it as a proposition to restore social conservatism if you care about these things. And if you don't care about these things, it means that you're either not marriageable, or you have no intention of becoming marriageable, which means you're either gay or not fit to be married, and therefore we should just ignore your view, because why should people who want to marry and have properly parent their children listen to a bunch of unmarriageable bachelors who obviously don't want to marry? We can ignore you. We can dismiss your views.
Well, you could ignore them. I mean, you can listen to them if they'd ever put out what the plan is. I mean, they're not saying anything to listen to anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know if their marriage are unmarriageable or what, but they don't have a plan, and they just keep sidestepping that. Okay, avoidance isn't a plan.
Yeah, and I think they're ashamed, and I think they're going to try and sidestep us by never talking to us. You see, because they're not going to suddenly not hate Islam just because we've won the arguments and they can't answer the questions. I mean, I don't know if you heard. Oh yeah, I did ask you. You did hear the stream that Blonde and her friend was on, but. Basically, it's this. They're just going to carry on with their Catholicism and being Christian and living in their parallel societies, and continue. I mean, yeah, no idea. I mean, they're considering paganism because
isn't it a little bit? Isn't this attitude a little bit like sitting on a train track and then saying, "Oh, a train's coming." They don't get off the track. I mean, isn't this a little bit okay? So, and we're going to get the track fixed in 2 generations, but I'm going to sit here until then. Oh, look at the train's coming, and I'm just not going to get up and move my seat over. I mean, this is kind of how I see this stuff.
Well, it's so true, and I'm so glad you could make these points, because they must feel so ashamed. I mean.
I don't think this
because if it's me, they'll say, "Oh, but she's not even white. Who is she anyway?" But you're so obviously American, and they can't answer your questions. And I think it would be fun for you to drop in on these people and drop your calling card.
Well, okay, might try that. I don't know. I don't think I don't know.
Well,
people just given up.
Yeah, they have, but we might as well have fun, I've gotten to the stage of actually enjoying it, just because there is nothing better to do than remind them that they haven't got a better idea. And when they say they don't like it, I tell them they don't have to. It's not a requirement. I don't expect them to. But I mean, all they're saying is, but we don't like it, and you haven't made us like it, and therefore you're a failure because we don't like it.
You ever see those? Sometimes they'll show it on, I don't know, talk shows or something. You'll see it on the TV or something, and like a Dr. Phil or something that Dr. Phil used to be on, and there'd be some girl on there whose mother spends all kinds of money, gives this huge, gigantic allowance to a girl, and the mother doesn't even really make enough money to be doing something like that. She keeps giving to her, and the girl's sitting there whining. She needs bigger allowance than this, I don't know, a couple thousand or something she's getting. And then, Dr. Phil tells her, well, maybe she needs to get a job or something. She sits there and starts crying. You know what I mean? So, okay, what are the white men in America willing to do? Okay, if they don't have a plan, what are they even willing to do? Right?
They're willing to pretend we don't exist. Pretend they don't understand.
But what are they willing to do for their country?
They're waiting for us to round them up and shoot them. I think that's what they're waiting to do, because they know we can't, because we haven't got a police force, we haven't got an army, and they know we can't make them do it, and that's why they're not complying. That's it. That's the only answer.
Okay, so they're big men. Shut up. Right. This is really I don't know. I wish some of the younger people had seen what people used to be like. Men didn't act like this, and women didn't. It's just very depressing. But I'm going to have to go, Claire, and it was nice talking. Right. And okay. Goodbye, everybody else in Claire's video land. Okay, bye.
All right, bye. Vincent? You still there? Vincent? Vincent is gone. Well, he's officially here, but he isn't. He isn't responding to what I'm saying, but he's not muted. Yes, he probably fell asleep. How many people are there in the chat? There's 11 people, so I kind of feel I should be saying something or doing something. Well, El Hakim, what? Do you have any questions? Yes, I told you, Vincent is dead, because I thought he was going to challenge Sam, and I guess he just fell asleep. So this morning I was going to, in my first stream, I was going to talk about what was I going to do? I've forgotten now. But at the time I was full of ideas, and I thought, but I can't carry on because I have to do something else. So I just forgot about it. And now it's gone. It happens a lot. Maybe it's my age. Oh yes. It's basically what I'm going to say tomorrow to Rob about how secular Quranism should be an intermediate step for people who are thinking of converting to secular Quranism. But I really should save it up for Sunday. And as Carol said, the stream is long enough. So thank you all for coming by, and I hope you had some fun.